just a ba 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 ba. I was listening to like a bunch of Stevie Wonder recently, and it's not by Stevie Wonder, but oh,
Hello, and welcome to, man, I didn't think it was going to go again. Welcome to AOS Trash Pandas. We're really trying to live up to the name each week. That was my fault. As I'm sure it will surprise everyone. With me as usual is my co-host Carson. How's it going, Carson?
going well. Also, I'm going to finish the anecdote that I was saying that I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the stream, but to do the sound test, I was going ba, 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 to Rob, and he was mimicking me, and we were kind of.
Oh, I thought I started that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It's the idiocy. It doesn't matter where it stems from. It
exactly.
Happens. That's what matters. Yeah.
We're like an ogre with two heads.
I've been listening to like a bunch of Stevie Wonder lately, and then this song by Kool and the Gang popped up called Jungle Boogie. Have you ever heard that song?
I know I've heard it, but I'm not good with names. You'd have to.
There's just like one moment in the song, or actually, honestly, for like half the song. Eventually, the guy just starts like grunting into the microphone. He's like, you just reminded me of that for some reason.
Oh man,
like there's just like super, like hardcore funk happening, and he's like, like just
nice. Oh yeah, my son Liam, for like about maybe 1 year ago or 2 years ago, he was really into Stevie Wonder for like learning his songs on the drums, and I was like, man, Stevie Wonder's really good, like he's so good, it's actually crazy. But yeah,
and it's crazy how many songs you hear of his that are like you've probably heard like the remade song by someone else.
Yeah, it's so true.
Like the original was by him, and you're like, oh my god, I never knew. But yeah, and he's the source of so much.
He also wrote a bunch of songs that like were for other people, apparently. Like Dolly Parton too. Apparently she's written like thousands of songs that like everyone knows. Anyway, we're here to talk about.
Yeah, this isn't an AOS show.
Not anymore. So there's a lot going on, especially for you, because like the stuff that we all have going on is going on for us. But then you also have that, and then you have other things going on. We had no time. I was running way behind today. You were running behind today. So things barely got together at the last minute. We didn't get a chance to even talk about order. What do you want to do? Should we go with announcements?
Announcements seems good, yeah. I mean, like we can spend a bunch of the show just kind of chatting about the new rules.
Yeah.
So this will be the last week that we have like a full set of soggy rules to go through.
Yeah.
So might as well do it.
Sure. So is that where we're going to start, or did you want to?
Oh, announcements as in.
Yeah, you have an announcement.
That's fair. Yeah. So it has recently been announced that as the chat has spoiled already.
Yeah.
I am the new captain of Team Canada for Worlds 2026.
Hey!
Yay!
I don't know if people can hear me clapping, but
I don't know either. My plan is to actually like ruin all the progress that we made because this past year was like the best year we've ever had as Team Canada.
Right. Set the bar low. That's what.
I'm aiming for dead last here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For sportsmanship, painting, everything.
Just run it generally unpleasant to play against. We'll bring unpainted models and then argue with the refs that gray is a color technically.
Yeah, that's true.
And
it's a shade. So.
Yeah, just never win a game ever. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes.
I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Break a leg, like if the rules don't go your way.
Legs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The ref makes the wrong call, break a leg.
Perfect. Nice. Sounds good.
Excellent.
Only got two.
Yeah. But congrats, that's really awesome. Like you guys did better than, like ever this last year, and so.
Yeah, I think that. So like, there's two main things that I kind of want to focus on this year. Number one is obviously like pushing the competitive spirit in Canada. Like it seems to be like really like we've got a lot of momentum right now. And I think there's a lot of really good people that are going to be coming back to the team next year. Myself not included, because I'm not good. I play narrative lists. And I think, and then the second thing that I want to focus on a lot is just like maintaining like the integrity of the game at a high competitive level. Because Canada was tied for like best sportsmanship this year. And I just want to make sure that like we want to push ourselves competitively, but also remain excellent to play against, right? Like that's actually number one ahead of like winning.
Right. Like if you were like, let's say you were like from Japan, you know, or Germany or somewhere known for being efficient. And then you went out there and you weren't efficient. You know, you'd feel like you're letting down the spirit of your own country. And Canada is known to be a friendly place. So I feel like that's a really solid and smart thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Mecrat says my narrative is $16. Actually, my favorite thing was Jake from Team Canada was like, I'm playing a narrative list too, but my narrative is that I win.
Yeah. I like it. I like
fair.
it. Were they playing FEC? Because is it like a diluted?
No,
you know?
cities.
Oh, okay.
So.
Wow. Or maybe they were actually FEC, and then it was furthering the narrative. That anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, super excited. Yeah, lots of people in the chat. I'm being harassed by previous year's team members. Gramming for dead last. I'm your man. No.
Who was it that posted? Was it Dan that posted the chat, your Team Canada chat, where they're just harassing you? It's so good. It's in our Discord. It's on the Saga Discord. Link in the description. So
in the middle of them, I'm just like, stop, please.
Stop. Yeah, just screaming. It was great. That was funny stuff. I also would like to take this opportunity to do my job for once and say, if you guys enjoy the thing, you know, a lot of people aren't subscribed. You know, it doesn't mean much to you guys, but it means a lot to us. So if you wouldn't mind, you know, subscribing, liking the videos and stuff like that, it really, really helps us out. We really appreciate it. Okay. Are you finished? I don't want to.
There's only one more thing, which is
please.
Literally just before this stream, I sent out applications for coaches and the World Selection Committee. So if you're interested in being either one of those things, please go on to the AOS Canada Discord and you'll find an announcement there with all the details. So
sick.
But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Very good. Cool. Okay. So we've seen a bunch of stuff. I didn't pull up the rumor engine because it looked like a dumb 40K thing. Whoops. Yeah, there it is. I didn't even bother putting it in a separate page. It looks Necron-y. It definitely looks like 40K-ish. So, I don't know. That's boring. Anyway, more important than that, Ignat Deepkin finally shown off. We had the models kind of leak last week, which didn't turn out like... I don't know if for people that didn't watch last week, I was like, I think they did this on purpose because of the whole wave thing. And I was like, wait a minute. No, because that's just because it's a Kraken Eater. They didn't do this on purpose. And now I look like someone who's just trying to believe in them. I mean, like, we know that there's more models than this guy. This is all that they've shown. The icon of the sea and storm, respectively. I'm with I've seen a lot of the Ignat players kind of say, it's pretty meh, you know? And I'm inclined to agree. I don't dislike the idea behind it, but I also, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, I see it. Like it kind of sucks because it's like still almost a foot hero, which
it's basically
does not need
hero.
another one.
Yeah,
no. It's like his feet isn't touching the ground.
Yeah.
His feet aren't touching the ground.
Yeah. But I said infantry. I didn't say foot hero. He has feet. Yeah, and he's infantry.
Riding the fish like rollerblades.
Yeah. That I would be down for. Yeah, little like eel skates or whatever, and he's doing the, you know, the speed skating thing. Yeah, I'm hoping for a Kraken, Tom. I've been talking about this since AOS 1, and I'm not joking. At the time, I was like, giant Kraken from Forge World, baby, with an Impaler on top. It does look like we're getting an Impaler, though, finally, in the other leaked images, but, they'll show that off at their leisure. And honestly, the rules are kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like he's getting like the 3d6 charge for one, and then the storm basically has you can't retreat, but the Ignith models nearby can retreat and charge, which it seems really good. And like the idea behind this guy, like the rules, I think are to play into Namarti. I think it's to make Namarti like more viable because they just don't have like any mobility right now. You know what I mean? Other than like the what do they call them? The Tides of Death, which are going to change. So they made a couple of cool announcements. I'm all about the models though, and this is my least favorite one out of anything that leaked. So, we'll kind of wait and see. And then we're getting a new, what's it called? Spearhead. So that's kind of cool. Everything in the box is pretty good. Like you always need more eels. Reavers are typically quite good. Usually you need a king. So yeah, I'm here for it. But yeah. Nice. Yeah. And then more importantly than that, like something that for everyone truly is the General's Handbook. Finally, where they previewed it. And what's more, I actually meant to get the picture that, one second, who put it up? I think Beefy put it up on our Discord. I reposted it to our local, like our club Discord. But someone asked, when is it coming out? And they said a week. This one's a week pre-order time. So that's kind of awesome, like if true. And it would make a huge difference for the tournament scene. And frankly, we kind of need it like pretty soon, So
yeah, there's a bunch of big tournaments that are coming up. Like I think the big question on everyone's mind is that if it's going to be coming out a week before Edmonton, is it going to be in use at Edmonton? Because that's pretty down to the wire. But I mean, I hope so. The last year, like pretty much Tacoma has always been the tournament every year that's been like the guinea pig for new rules. And I seem to recall like 1 week is essentially how long it was before the drop of the new edition. So
right, yeah,
I could definitely see them using the new GHB rules for Edmonton, which would be super exciting. It would kind of suck if like we knew all of the rules for the new GHB because we would have it in hands at that point.
Yep.
And then be on
the old one, and everyone's just like, no one cares. Like, I mean, people do, obviously, if you're in the tournament, you super care, and it's really awesome, and they're having this great, big open tournament in Canada, and like, that's super exciting, and there's a bunch of people going, and it's really, really cool. But like, it takes away a huge chunk of the hype, from the tournament if you're playing on old rules. So I really hope you guys are playing on the new rules. But yeah, there's some big names coming to Edmonton too, so it'd be really cool to see a mix of like new rules and like super high competitive level. Right. And when you say big name, you mean like the ogre thing? Of course. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, every ogre list is a big name. So that's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean like a bunch of people from Team America are going to be there. Obviously, a bunch of people from Team Canada are going to be there. Nice. It's like there are people from like the southern states going that I had no idea. Hell yeah. That they would even consider going, let alone like actually locking it in. So it's just really cool. I mean, like it's like a big tournament in North America. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like I would probably to be honest, I would be more inclined to go to a tournament like in Texas than I would be in Ontario, just because it's you're getting out there. It's more interesting and different. I don't know, but that's fair. That's also a personality thing, I guess. But Braden is singing in the chat. I'll be there. Awesome. Glad to hear it. I'm assuming you're singing, Braden. Oh, and then we also got shown. So include also with. By the way, the General's Handbook. Like I emailed. This is actually I won't say who I emailed. I emailed a local store that I'm ordering from, right? And this is like the day after the prices got put up in our local Discord. And then, but I was like, it says it's only $70 for the General's Handbook, and that comes with cards and these neoprene objectives, like that seems impossible, right? That it's only $70 Canadian, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so there's also like sand and bone. There's like a bunch of, there's some stuff in there that I don't know what it is. And so I said to them, like, do you know what the price is for the GHB with the objectives? And they were like, we don't know prices at all yet. And I'm like, you should. Yeah, that's why I'm not saying who I talked to. Sometimes though, you know, like the store that I go to is pretty big. Not everyone there is into Warhammer. Like they also sell other, you know, board games and all sorts of other stuff. So, you know, it's possible that they just don't know the score, but I was just thinking, like, you should know something. Like, you should know some of the prices, because I know the prices. But yeah, anyway, I'd be interested. If anyone knows, I would love to know. I mean, like, I'm gonna buy it because, like, what does a set of neoprene objective markers cost on their own? Like, you're gonna pay like $50 for them, probably, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, if it's only $70 for the GHB, by the way, it looks like we're losing the ring binder format. Although we also thought about that about the General's Handbook, the first General's Handbook that came out for AOS 4. If you remember, the original preview didn't show the ring binder part. So it's possible that that's just happening again because they're just taking cover art and superimposing it onto an image and not actually using the image, if that makes sense. But I really, really hope it's still a ring binder. Ring binders are so awesome. Eric and a bunch of people I saw were saying, if it's not ring binder, I'm not buying it. You know, like that's like a no-go for me. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like that, right? But yeah. Anyway, what do you think? Like, do you think doesn't $70 like really good for a GHB and 6 neoprene objectives and cards?
Yeah, I could see them making the GHB like a cheap little booklet thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
And if that's the case, like I kind of get it. Like if it's 6 objectives, cheap little booklet and some cards, $70 is like sure.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Right.
But if it is a ring binder, it's a steal for sure.
It's a steal. It's so good. Yeah. I hope that's where they're
pretty
going.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Objective markers are with GHB. Can't buy it without. Interesting.
Oh.
Huh.
How did you wait? Who said that?
That's Beefy that said that.
Beefy. How did you?
Yep.
Oh, check your Discord. It's
Neat.
my Discord.
I wonder. Like it just sounds too good to be true. Like.
Yeah.
So I keep thinking of like maybe it's like really cheap neoprene and it sucks. Like just like trying to find any terrible excuse.
I know, like, but they also look cool. And like what's awesome too is if you notice on the corners, like there's no corners, I guess, on the circle, but like at 4 symmetrical points on the circle, there's stuff where you can line it up with deployment lines to really get it accurate where it's supposed to be. That's something that I think all objective markers should have, is some kind of marker so you can really line it up well. Because when you're looking at a circle like over lines and just trying to judge it by the middle, it's crazy how inaccurate you can actually be. And then you try out one of those ones with it, and Calling it now, Rob. Whatever box sets these new minis are in, there's going to be a Kraken in the box set too. Hashtag optimism. Hashtag wishful thinking. Yes, that is definitely the latter. Wishful thinking. I mean, you're talking about, obviously he's talking about the Idneth models. Yeah, I mean, I actually don't think we're even getting an army box set with Idneth because they showed off the cover already. Usually the first thing they show off is the box set, but maybe they're just working against the rumors. So I'm in there with you. Is it neoprene or is it thin plastic?
I think
I
it's
could have
neoprene.
sworn they said neoprene. Let's see. Is it? It might
like
not
they've
be on
sold neoprene objectives before.
Yeah, that's true. They have. Yeah. Was that you messaging me? Nope. Okay. There we go. So, okay. Yeah. Like, well, anyway, that's the hope. I really hope it's neoprene. Like, if it's not neoprene, then like, Oh man. And it's not a ring binder? Like, oh jeez, guys. That sucks. But like honestly, if it's not neoprene, then I think I like take these and I glue them onto a neoprene objective marker. Because like, like the symbols really help, but I'm not playing without neoprene in this day and age. It's going to be neoprene
So it says,
yeah.
so it doesn't explicitly say that it's neoprene,
Okay.
but it says each has a non-slip backing.
Right. But if it's like, even if it's like vinyl with a non-slip, like that tends to move around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
We will. I mean, like you're getting a lot of stuff here, even if it's like worst case scenario. Oh man, if it's neither though, that is brutal. Oh, well, neoprene is like, it's like, I think neoprene is like Tylenol to acetaminophen. Yeah. Brian B says polyethylene terephthalate. I don't know. I don't have a chemistry degree. Anyway, also we're getting the new Spearhead like box set where you get like a board and you get like this terrain in here and a bunch of new mission packs. I'm not like in love with this terrain. Like it's 6 pieces, but it's very like they're very small. Having said that, I like that they're doing Spearhead like editions almost. Like they're getting like their own like mini expansion, because like if you're really into Spearhead, and I know people that are really into Spearhead, you want more. You know what I mean? It's like Kill Team or whatever, right? And then we're getting a bunch of new spearheads. So Carson, which one of these spearheads is the best to you? The Sunblood Prowlers, the Fusel Platoon, the Mortison Elite, or the Scrap Glut? Now, don't judge it on like what is your favorite, because obviously your favorite is the Ogres one, right? But like the Ogres one, like some of those models are old and fugly, right? So like, yeah, like judge it on what you think is like the best, like if you're into that army. Does that make sense?
Yep. So the Ogres one, the thing to keep in mind is it doesn't have to be a scrap launcher. It could be an iron blaster as well.
Right.
It's a dual kit. However, this Ogres one is not as good of a value as the current one, because the current one you get a Tyrant, you get a iron blaster, you get 6 Gluttons, you get 4 lead belchers, which can be converted into iron guts. You get 2 Morn Fang. Wow. You get like such great variety. Like that's really
more newer models.
Yeah, well. Exactly.
Yeah.
The Mortison Elite is pretty interesting.
These are from like 2019, like summerish mostly, except for the big guys in the back, and they're from Fantasy. I don't remember when. I don't remember if they're 8th or 7th edition, but
yeah. So the Mortison Elite looks pretty good. Like there's a bunch of stuff in there that I'd probably want if I was into the army.
Yeah, I think so.
The Fusel Platoon, I like that quite a bit.
Yeah. Agreed.
I like that. The only thing I don't like is that it comes with you have to think of multiple purchasability for a box like this too.
Agreed.
And I don't think you ever want more than one Warforger.
Right.
Or probably not even more than one. What's it called? No, the other hero either. Like I think both heroes are not.
The guy on the Ogroid?
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas I think that you probably want like 20 Fusiliers, and I could see a reason for having 2 of the Wilder Corpse.
Okay.
So it's pretty all right. The Sun-Blooded Prowlers, Spawn at Chotek. Ugh. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the Spawn at Chotek is bad, but it is a pretty darn new model. Like that's third edition AOS, late 3rd edition AOS, like right before.
Yeah.
But for one of these, like it's a really good deal, because you can get like 10, you can get 2 units of the Skinks out of one thing there. And you do probably want multiple Saurus warriors. I don't know about the other guy, like the Warband, but the dude is cool. Like they're sick models, obviously. And I mean, like eventually the Spawn of Chotek will probably be good in some capacity. Like you'll probably want one of them at some point in your life, But yeah, like you said, like multiple purchases, probably not. But like, so if you're combining it with like multiple purchase value and you're looking at new models versus old models, well, this one has the most newest models. Like it's all basically brand new models. And then the second one would be for newness is the cities one. And then it basically just goes down in order, actually. But for multiple purchasability, I think the best one is the OBR one. Right?
I would agree with that. Yeah. And that's usually what I look at for box sets like this because I'm already so into the hobby, right?
That's true. But a lot of people are getting into it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If I were getting into it, I think I would like probably either the cities one or the Seraphon one.
I think that's me too. Yeah. Even and like, what about if you were getting into it brand new? Would you want to get the Ogres one?
No, there's just like those I don't like that the Nobblars are advertised as like a unit in the box. Right. Nobblars are just so ugly. Like
they're
horrendous models, and
it's like they're paying us to take their crap away. Or we're paying to take it. Yeah,
and it's so true too. Like I don't know why they would advertise that variant instead of the Iron Blaster because the Iron Blaster is so cool.
Well, I know why. Here's why. Okay, it's because there's an Iron Blaster in the other one, correct? And this is a spearhead, so you have to build these as these units if you're going to play this in spearhead, which is sort of the intention, right? Having said that, just play the other spearhead, right? If you're going to get into spearhead as well. But
yeah,
that's
like this box doesn't make me excited to play ogres.
No,
the current box does. Like current box, I'd be like, hell yeah! Like I get like cool mounted dudes. I got a big cannon. Absolutely. I got a tyrant. I got a bunch of foot ogres. Like there's a lot of cool stuff in there and a lot of variety. But this one, it doesn't seem like it kind of lacks an identity. I think
it does. And because, I actually like the scrap launcher. By the way, I just think it's a very funny unit. It's almost Skaven-y and it's like silliness. Yeah. But
yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I think if you're going for like value and like repurchasability, like doubling up, definitely OBR. If someone was getting into the game, I think that both the Seraphon one and the Cities one are both really cool. I think equally cool, honestly.
I think so
too. The Seraphon
too.
one a little bit more, but
yeah, I mean, like for me, it's obviously Seraphon, but like it's just a matter of what you're into. I think both of these are. I think the Seraphon one and the Cities one are both like chef's kiss if you're getting into painting the army, because there's actually like a huge variety, especially for cities. Right, you've got the Fusiliers, which are a cool unit, but then you've got this Warcry Warband, which has it has dogs in it. Like, I shouldn't need to say anything else. It has dogs in it. You get to paint dogs. Yeah. Like, what's not to like?
Perfect.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Anyway, I just think that I like that they're doing this. I hope they release more spearheads. I think it's fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to the General's Handbook. So,
yeah.
Beefy
says, do you think we will see AOS War Scrolls for the 2 Underworld Warbands, the Seraphon one and the Ogre one?
Say that again? Sorry.
So, because there's 2 Underworld Warbands in the... So the Seraphon one has one and the Ogre's one has... I don't know what the Seraphon one's called, but the Ogre's one is Hrothgorn's Man-Trappers.
Right.
Maybe? He was in 3rd, so I could see him being released as well.
Oh, you mean like when the books come out for the respective armies?
Maybe that, but also when the spearheads come out too, we might get them early, right? Like a war school release.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that. That's a great point. Huh.
I think it's possible. I don't know if they'll necessarily do that, but I think it's definitely possible.
I would think so, but I wonder if there are like examples where that hasn't happened before. Like I can't think of it because I'm just not. I don't pay it like I like Spearhead a lot. I just don't pay enough attention to what's going on specifically in the Spearhead world of things, right? But yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
it would feel kind of bad if we didn't have something in AOS.
It would be weird.
Yeah,
that would be the first time they've released a Spearhead box where it can't be used as like the starter for.
That's the issue. That's the exact issue, because if you have them over here, the whole idea is it's supposed to gateway you into playing the army in full in Age of Sigmar, right? So, yeah, that would seem like a huge misstep if they don't do it. Neoprene is polychloroprene. Oh, okay. So, but what's polyethylene terephthalate?
Leviticus says that it's pretty much what water bottles are made of. So
Oh man,
yeah, it's not great.
no,
I mean, some people prefer like the plastic objectives. I personally prefer neoprene.
easy.
We'll have to see like what this non-slip backing is, and we'll have to see how slippery the top of the objective is, because I think there's two main problems with the plastic objectives. Number one is that the objectives themselves shift around,
Yeah,
and the second one is the models on top of them are like on a skating rink, basically.
yeah. If they're especially if they're like the clear objectives that we've seen in the past. I won't mention names because it seems rude, but yeah, that's unfortunate. Because the other great thing about neoprene is that it's just got enough weight that it really won't slide around at all. Like if you have something that has like a non-slide backing to it, you know, if it's light enough, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It'll still just kind of skate across the surface of anything. So you really kind of need the kind of weight behind it. Obviously for traveling, you know, you could say whatever, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I am disappointed though. Yeah. Anyway, should we talk about some rules?
Some soggy rules. Let's do it.
Yeah. Speaking of Seraphon, these are really cool.
Are they first?
Like,
I thought Doc was first.
oh, maybe I didn't go far enough back. Luckily, I kept the page open. I did. Oh, I see. Yeah, because it wasn't new. Yeah, I don't know how I could forget Doc. Doc is like, remember what we said about Fire Slayers? Well, triplet. Like, holy shoot,
Yeah.
this is looking intense.
Also, just a weekly reminder of cities. Don't forget about cities. It was one of the first ones that came out, and it's bonkers still.
It is still bonkers. I don't know if it beats Daughters though, but we can see. Let's go through it and we'll see what we see. Because like Dale was running through some of the stuff you can do, and I was just going, Mother of God. Like anyway, so we got two new battle formations. One is called Higher Purpose, and it's return D3 slain models for each friendly Daughters of Cain Aelf infantry unit. So that's like your Sisters of Blood and like the regular Witch Elves, effectively.
Which what? Sorry?
The Sisters of... Are they not Sisters of Blood? Sisters of Slaughter.
Which elf? I thought it was which elves.
Which... Yes, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Which ones?
Yeah.
The Witch Elves.
Which?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway.
yeah, that's... but yeah, this seems really good. There's like a lot of recursion in the game right now, and having any sort of recursion is really nice. But I personally really like the second battle formation they came out with, Arena Veterans, which is any combat phase. It's weird because it's a passive, but it says for the rest of the phase, friendly Daughters of Cain Aelf infantry units have ward 5+ until they've used a fight ability. So basically, like if you're getting punched first, you have a 5-up ward, which is like that's super solid. And
It's so good.
the name of the game for an army like Daughters of Cain is punching first, right? Or like punching as hard as you can. Like it doesn't really matter, you know, if you've got 20 elves in a unit, D3 of them coming back isn't particularly impactful for what you want to do first, which is punch someone as hard as you can. And if you're making twice as many ward saves, because regularly the elves have 6-up ward instead of a 5-up ward, going to a 5-up is just like a huge value for the amount of wound density that you have, especially for a unit like Sisters of Slaughter, which can be like -1 to hit and -1 to wound, no commands, that kind of stuff. Like you have that and a 5-up ward, it doesn't matter that you're on not an amazing save anymore. They're just like nigh unkillable. So it's pretty good.
It's really good. Yeah, I think it's awesome, especially because like, you know, when you're off turn, you get charged and you're just like, well, they're gonna get to go first, but I've got a 5-up ward. Like it's almost like the corn thing where you just kind of feel like, well, a unit died, but I got a blood tithe point. You know what I mean? It's like a here you go sort of thing.
Yeah.
The question is though, will it replace current subfactions or battle formations?
I think so.
I would use it, but it's
I mean,
also
obviously, if you're running all snakes, no, because
Yes,
this
that's
doesn't
true.
apply to them at all. Like
That's true. That's a great point. Yeah,
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 because they're
that's
not
true.
elves.
They're not elves.
Yeah,
They're
they're.
what are they called again?
I was just trying to remember.
Canary? Oh no, that's the other. Those are the bat ones.
Or Melusai, I think it is.
Melusai. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
sounds right. Yeah.
I think it's that keyword instead. So these two don't have anything to do with that. Basically, this is made for Dale. Like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his playstyle, like
So true. Yeah.
if
Or Veronica when she was playing. She hasn't been playing Witch Elves, or she hasn't been playing Daughters recently, but maybe she'll go back.
yeah, if you're playing Witch Elves and you're playing Sisters of Slaughter, this is an incredible subfaction.
It's also very
both of
easy
these
to
are good.
play. You know what I mean? It doesn't require like 40 chess thinking. It's just like, I haven't fought yet, so I have a 5-up ward.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, that's really good. Then they got a new prayer lore, which is also quite good. The one they have right now is pretty good. Being able to like advance on the blood rights table and get to max blood rights is pretty good. But
Right.
there's an extremely powerful prayer here called Shadow Step, which is basically you pick an elf infantry wholly within 12 inches of the chanter, and they can move up to 6 inches. And it has no, like, it doesn't matter if they're in combat; they can just move out of combat. It doesn't count as a retreat; they just leave. And then
It's crazy.
so it can move through the combat ranges of enemy units, but cannot end that move in combat. So it can't like murder less tag someone, for instance. If the chanting roll was 8+, you can pick another eligible unit to be a second target. So, like, this is like a quasi retreat and charge.
Yep.
It's fairly not interactive unless you roll a 1. But even if you do, it's an unlimited prayer, and if you have multiple priests, then it only has to go off on a 3, right?
Well, can we also highlight the fact that, it's like they're all like 2 of them are 3 and then one's a 4. So anytime you have like that kind of spell lore, it's
really it's
good.
pretty good. And then you have Scath Scale, which is the other 3 value one. You pick a friendly Daughters of Cain elf infantry wholly within 12 of the chanter. Until the start of your next turn, subtract 1 to wound rolls for combat attacks that target that friendly unit. And if the chanting roll was 8+, that unit basically becomes like a bubble of -1 to wound. Subtract 1 for combat that target the friendly Daughters of Cain elf infantry units while they're wholly within 12 inches of the target of this ability instead. Right.
Yeah.
So they basically become like the Heart of Fury.
Yeah.
With a prayer, that's incredible too. Like going off on a 3 is actually kind of insane.
Yes.
With that.
It shouldn't go off on a 3. I think we all agree.
Yeah. It's a little crazy.
I mean, like, you also could like make the argument that you probably want, or most of the time you're saving up for the 8+ anyway, just so that everyone has it. But like, imagine everything having -1 to wound and a 5-up ward until they fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then the last one is Exaltation of Murder, which is you pick a elf infantry wholly within 12 of the chanter. Until the start of your next turn, add 1 to wound rolls for the target's combat attacks. And then on a 9+, you add +1 to the attacks characteristic of their melee weapons too. So it's another way to get +1 attack, including being advanced on the blood rights table. So you could potentially be at +2 attacks with the unit, which is pretty nutty. And +1 to wound is really good as well. Like so all of these are just like incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
You'd have a hard time. Like it's just like a really nice Swiss Army knife.
It's true. Lore. It should be pointed out that it is all Aelf keyworded prayers. So it just literally just doesn't apply to the snakes. Melusai, thanks to Riley. I mean, Carson got it earlier, but appreciate you guys, even with the delay. You know what I mean? It's good to even have it there so I can remember it. Like it's kind of a shame because the Melusai, all the snake and bat stuff is the new stuff, which is like where I kind of like them to sort of encourage people to go into. I think it's a cooler looking army. I think it's cooler for people and more interesting for people to paint and get into. But this is really freaking good, and Dale will be happy, so I'm happy for him. I don't know what to say. It's dope.
Yep.
I'm jelly. Yeah.
It doesn't stop there.
No. This is actually where it gets crazier, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So Crethusa, the Crone Seer, Soggy rules, 12-inch move, 6 health, 5 up save. I'm just saying this again because I don't like. Who cares what it used to be or whatever? Like, it doesn't really matter. Staff of Morai Heg, 5 attacks, crit auto wound, 3 up, 4 up, 1, D3 damage. And then enemy hero phase. This is really cool. Enemy hero phase give this unit D3 ritual points. And then in your hero phase, pick a visible Daughters of Cain, Aelf infantry or cavalry. Or should be cavalry, probably. Anyway, unit wholly within 12 inches, unit to be the target. Goes off on a 3-up. Pick one of the following effects to apply until the start of your next turn. Enemy units cannot use commands while they are in combat with the target. So you pick them and go, then they run off, right? And then like you're not even in danger. You don't have to send in your hero or anything. Anyway, I'll keep going. Prophecy of Shelter. Other than the companion ability, weapon abilities used by enemy units while they are in combat with the target have no effect. So like if they have like crit mortal on their companion weapons or something like that, nope, you don't get that. And then subtract, or then the last one is Prophecy of Retribution. Subtract 1 from ward rolls made for damage points inflicted by the target's combat attacks. And by the way, if you saved up your ritual points and got a 9+, you get all 3 of these things. What the hell? Like, that is insane. But wait, there's more. Once per battle, your movement phase, pick a friendly Daughters of Cain, Aelf infantry or cavalry unit that has been destroyed. Set up a replacement unit with half the number of models from the target unit rounding up. Blah, 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 blah. It costs 1 command point, so it's like once per game you can pop back a unit, like half a unit of Aelf infantry or cavalry. Yeah. What do you think, Carson?
Real good.
It's real good.
Real good. Yeah.
Oh, and she's priest too, by the way. So she can
Yes.
do one of the other prayers, one of the insane other prayers that we just listed, in addition to her completely broken personal one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a incredible war scroll. Like, she's super squishy, obviously.
Right.
But who cares? Like, it's not a huge deal if she's squishy.
Fast too.
Yeah, exactly. She's super fast. She's protected by her. You know, she can stay super far back. She only has to stay wholly 12 to get these prayers off, which is really nice. And like the existing war scroll is like, it's just an ability. You basically like you pick. It's actually a further range, 18-inch range. You pick like an elf infantry unit, and it's like no commands. They can move or like an OC debuff of some kind.
Right.
I think this is way stronger just because it's what's it called? It's got the anti-ward tech and the no abilities on weapons whatsoever. Like, that's an entire heroic trait for Ideneth, isn't it? Like, cutting off all weapon abilities.
It's both. You have to use your heroic trait and an artifact. Yeah.
No. One of them is just shutting off all weapon abilities. One of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. I thought you were saying. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. But she can just like issue that out to whoever, right? Which is pretty nuts.
And it's not just that one thing. Like, yeah, it's so many things.
Yeah, it's really good. And her prayers are very reliable. Getting D3 in the enemy turn is really good. Like,
that's
insane. You can do that first and see if it's likely that you're going to get something off. But Blood Ritual only happens on a 3 anyway, so it's like.
Like, okay.
Effectively, it's like if you just don't roll a 1, you're good, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And you could even like if you roll a 6, if you get D3, if you get 3 on the enemy turn and then roll a 6, you can get all 3 in your first turn theoretically. It's super good. And then also she is infantry and she is Aelf, so she would get the 5-up ward as well in the right faction, I would think. Right?
Yep.
Okay. You know,
yeah,
just checking. Like, I was like, that can't be true. Like, surely the heroes don't get it too, right? No, they do.
They certainly do.
Yep, they sure do. But wait, there's still more. There is the Blood Rack Shrine. 12 wounds, 4 up save. This one's a war machine, so they don't get the 5 up. But I think you can. Can't you like? Isn't there like an artifact or something that gives it a 5 up? Or did I make that up?
I'm not sure.
Thing. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, it definitely has a 6 up ward because it's right on there. And then the 15-inch shooting attack, crit 2 hits, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, 2 rend, 3 flat damage. Whoo! And then its regular profile is 8 attacks, 3s and 4s, -1 rend, 2 damage. And it's a spellcaster. It's a wizard 2. So, and then its War Scroll spell goes on a 5 up. Until the start of your next turn, enemy units and enemy manifestations cannot be set up within 12 inches. So it's kind of like almost like the Shards of Vashtor, but bigger. Like a 12-inch bubble instead of 6. Although there are 2 spells, so you can probably get it even crazier than that. But like putting that aside, and then once per turn, any shooting phase, pick a visible enemy unit within 15 inches of this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or less than the enemy unit's health characteristic, so equal or less. For the rest of the phase, you can reroll failed hit rolls for attacks made by this unit that target that enemy unit. And it just says attacks. It doesn't say melee attacks. So it applies to the shooting attacks too. So you do this at in your shooting phase, right? Any shooting phase.
It only applies for the rest of the phase, so it's only your shooting attacks. But it's
you're right. Yeah. I did not. Right. Yeah,
but it's still really good.
The phase.
Like if you're shooting at something,
the shooting is like the main thing you want to do, and then if you spend the attack, what do you call it? Unleash Hell, whatever it's called now.
Then you can still do this.
You can still do this, and you're re-rolling. Like if you pick like a monster or something like that, you're guaranteed to be re-rolling your hit rolls.
Yeah, well, this is really good for sniping, like Blood Heroes or something like that. Like if you walk within 12 inches, you're like, oh no, I'm -1 to hit. I'll just use this ability and not care whatsoever. Like it's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
So, and with it being crit 2 hits, like it's actually quite reliable. Because
well, and then like it's in the shooting phase, right? It says any shooting phase. So let's say it's a 5 wound hero, you need to roll equal to or less than. So then if you roll the 6, you could just choose to not unleash hell, and you don't waste anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get to see what you want to see if it's going to be preferable or not. So yeah, it's really good.
It's a 2-cast wizard too, so you're getting this plus endless spells or whatever. Man, it's so good. Yeah,
super good. Yeah, so I think pretty much, I don't think there's a single bad thing in this rules update for Daughters of Cain.
Nope.
Like even the Coven Zealots return D3 models, like still quite good.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, giving like high-end, high-quality attack models, like the Clan Rat return ability it's wild. Yeah. Yeah,
super good. The Prayer Lore is incredible. Arena Veterans is obviously a really good sub-faction. Cthulhu is just like cranked super good.
Out. Yeah.
And this Bloodrack Shrine, so Matthias played a game of this against me. We were playing like some preview rules.
Yeah.
The Shrine really surprised me, especially because you can put that enhancement on it where it can get like the once per game teleport. And he was just like, hello, behind me, just like shot the crap out of something. And I was like, oh, I should have prepared for that.
Crazy. And then were you playing New Rules Ogres?
Yep.
Which we will get to in a moment, but
we will indeed. Yes, we will.
Cool. That's I'm glad to hear you're excited about it. These rules are a 10 out of 10, right?
100%. Yeah. This is like, I think going into the new GHB, it looks like Cities of Sigmar and Daughters of Cain are both looking really, really good. Right. Especially because we know that one of the biggest weaknesses for Daughters of Cain is shooting. And because all of their debuffs apply to melee only.
Right.
And we know that obscuring is going to be getting more favorable for the people standing near it, right? You only have to have every model within an inch of an obscuring piece of terrain now.
Wow.
Which means you can extend even further out than you could before. And we don't know if that's the extent of it either. There could be something else. So they're looking pretty scary going into the new edition. Right. If one of their big bads is like significantly diminished, then it ain't good.
And like on top of that, like they were already really good, but for some reason people weren't playing them that were like really like that were competitive, I think. So like their stats were bad, but like so they're showing bad, and so GW is like, okay, we gotta crank them up. But like we know from Dale like how crazy strong they are. Like they're really strong. So
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous. I don't mind saying like I think cities needed a bump more than daughters for sure. Or the human side, I should say. The human side needed more of a bump. But yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm almost
Yeah. The major issues with Doc is like previously they were like, okay, if I get Mind Razor off or I'm like full blood rights,
right.
I will shred something.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's such a slot machine. It's like, do you roll an 8 to cast? Maybe not,
Right.
right? You don't have pluses to cast, and then plenty of people could just unbind it. It's more likely not that you don't get Mind Razor off when you need it.
Right.
Whereas now they're stacking so many debuffs and they have recursion
and buffs.
And buffs.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just like they're stacking so many things that are like nearly uninteractable because they're like prayer chant value 3 prayers. Like your
Right.
opponent can't unbind it. It goes off extremely easily and you get bonuses to pray. Like it doesn't even really matter anymore if you get Mind Razor. And then if you do, it's
Yeah.
just like you shred something.
You shred
So-
things even harder. You overkill things now. Because like Dale was talking about Mind Razor and just basically saying like I basically just see when I get Mind Razor off and that's my go turn. You know,
Yeah.
I play conservative. Oh, I got Mind Razor off. Now you're going to die, you know? And so now you don't have to wait for it. And you can't stop them from getting these insane prayers off of. So God help you. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, super good. I think the highlight of the week probably as far as like power goes.
Yeah.
So
Yes, for sure.
Watch
Every
out
week
for them.
there's one. Every week there's one. It was cities, then it was fire slayers. This time it's daughters for sure. And then the last one's going to be like 2 armies, Sylvaneth and what is it?
Soulblight.
Soulblight. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if Sylvaneth needs it. I don't know. I'm not really seeing a lot of Soulblight, so maybe it feels like they're worse than they actually are. But also people could just be getting stuff painted. I'm not really sure. By the way, Riley said it could be blank and the Wizard 2 would already be worth it. I don't disagree. Yeah. Wizard 2 with like a good shooting profile. Yeah. 12 wounds, 4 up save. He's not wrong. Should we move over to Seraphon?
Let's do it.
I'm pretty excited for this. So heroic traits, new heroic traits. You can pick 2 different asterism abilities instead of 1. They are both used in addition to the one you picked in the deployment phase. So, yeah. Like, this is like only like, so this will kind of encourage you to take the easy ones to get, essentially, hey? So like you're more likely to take the +1 to cast if you want to play into this so that is it start of turn 3? I think so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So start of
Start of
turn
the battle
3.
round, turn 3.
Right. So then if you have that, then you get like 2 other really awesome things for the rest of the battle. I'd be interested in this one. Like I could see doing this one, but I think it will mostly like kind of depend on whether or not I'm picking one of the easy ones. Like I'm not going to pick this and go with the -1 to rend because it's too easy to stop, you know? But what do you think?
I don't know if I'd lean into this very much. Like I think you have better options, probably.
I do too, but what do you think about what I was saying? Like,
No, I think it makes sense.
Okay,
Like yeah,
okay.
you pick an easier option first and
right.
that's it. But it's usually I don't know. Like is there an easy one that's like very difficult for your opponent to deny? Just a Slan being alive or something?
Yeah, that's the only one that I can immediately see is
Yeah, but the issue is that the benefits of having the other ones, like the -1 rend or +2 to move or whatever, are so much greater than
so much better. Exactly. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't think you probably take this.
Agreed. And then passive Child of the Stars, if this unit would be destroyed. It's basically like the old Incandescent Retrices from AOS 2. We're on a 3-up. It's not destroyed. Any remaining damage has no effect. Then you heal D3. It's pretty cool, you know? Yeah. I could see taking this. I think it might be good on the new Old Blood. It's like just when you thought you got rid of him, he's back, baby.
Yeah.
And then there's Chosen of Quetzal. Quetzal the Pretzel. Pick a visible, friendly, non-monster skink unit that is in combat, any combat phase, by the way, and is wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Effect: roll a dice. On a 3-up, the target can move up to 8 inches. It can move through the combat ranges of enemy units, but cannot end that move in combat. This also seems really good because you could use it just to like send in a herd of Raptidons, you know what I mean, into combat, and then they just literally retreat onto an objective. So they're moving like 14 inches. They might have +2 to move from abilities like, different heroic traits and different things like that. They might be able to run and charge, and then they could move up to 8 inches out, like, and steal an objective. Like, there's some, and it's any combat phase. And these traits don't have to go on like a specific crappy model, like a skink or a slan. Like, you could put it on an Old Blood, and then you just wombo combo that with other like skink units, I think some of the Stegodon units have the skink keyword in them.
Yeah, but this is non-monster skink.
Oh, non-monster. I'm so dumb. Yeah, fair enough. But it just works with so many different units. Like, it works with pterodons, with the good ones. What are they called again? I've owned them since AOS 1. I can't come up with a name. I don't know. Ripperdactyls.
Yeah.
Ripperdipperdoos. So, like, they're moving crazy fast, potentially extra crazy fast. Anyway, I think it's dope. You could take the you could take the pterodons or the Ripperdactyls, move them up like +2 inches, and then they can move after they shoot in the right faction, and then they can charge, and then they could move 8 inches out on a 3-up. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. That's a lot of movement,
right?
For sure. The only thing is that to get that projection, like whatever hero this is, has to be wholly 12 of this unit too.
Yes, that's true. So this goes really well on an Old Blood or something that's kind of chunky and is harder to kill. A Troglodon, maybe. I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then the thing that you want to see in any army, monstrous traits. Just give this to a monster. It doesn't have to be a hero. You just have to have a monster in your army, which you probably already do. Because if you're not playing, the dinosaur faction with dinosaurs, then you need to look at your life. So passive Titan of the Land. This unit counts as a terrain piece for the purposes of picking targets for the Realm Shaper Engine's Power Unleashed ability. Bestill it on anyone? Like, what the hell? So you can just zap them out. You can move it and like maneuver it so that it's like, like Tokyo drifting into the right zone for picking like a close terrain feature, and then, projecting like a little bit farther than you would necessarily with terrain. I don't know. Like, this is pretty tempting for me. And then there's also Ancient Defender. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit's companion weapons. This is pretty good on like a Carnosaur, especially on like the Old Blood on Carnosaur, because like his attacks are pretty awesome now. And so just adding 1 to hit rolls just makes him more reliable because he's hitting on 4s. So I could definitely see picking this. And then you got Armor Cruncher, which is, again, this is another really strong one. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. If it equals or exceeds the target's save characteristic, subtract 1 from the save rolls. So this is giving them like Warpstone Amulet, but then you just have to roll against their save roll. But if they're like, I was talking to Eric about this, and he liked this one more than I did initially, because he was saying, well, if they've already got like a 5-up save, then you don't care about this anyway. If they've got a 4-up save, then it's like, you care less about it, so it doesn't matter if it goes off as much. And then if they get the 3-up save, well, that makes it easy enough to do where it's like you're getting more and more value out of it, like depending on how good their save is. 2-up, just that much easier, because you just have to equal it. I'm not sure that that's what I'm picking, but I totally agree with his reasoning, and I like it. You know.
Yeah. I feel like with how monsters are being included in lists right now, I would probably pick it as well. Just
Fair.
because monsters seem to be like the anvil at the moment. And
Right.
if you have something coming in, getting -1 to save, and then probably another -1 to save with the new all-out attack
Right.
things,
Yeah.
like whatever you hit back with is gonna
Right.
like definitely go through, right?
That's true.
So
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
I would probably be going armor cruncher most of the time. Ancient Defender's kind of cool, I guess, for like a really hitty
Well, we'll see in
war
a
score.
second. The Saurus Old Blood is, potentially doing Kragnos damage.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly not bad. Like
No,
it's pretty cool. I don't know if I would take Titan out of the line though. Like it's neat, but
I
it's
think I think in depending on your build, you are. You know what I mean? Like if you're taking a Carnosaur, you're never taking Titan of the land, right?
yeah.
But if you're bringing like if all you have is one Bastillodon, you're never taking Ancient Defender, right? Oh, I guess you could still take Armor Cruncher because then you send it in with another unit where you're trying to get down their save. I don't know, but like those mortals that the terrain piece does is pretty good. The Realm Shaper engine.
It's pretty good, but like it's chances are what you want to hit is like somewhat near terrain anyway.
Right.
And I mean, I guess it depends on the terrain on your table, but
Right.
I don't know. Like that has to be in combat with the monster
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it to be picked by the Realm Shaper ability anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like if something is pinned and it's your hero phase, and like it's just like too many things stacking up for it to matter. Where it's just
Totally.
like if someone decides to dogpile one of that particular monster and then not kill it,
Right.
like that seems like somewhat of a tall ask. Even though Bastillodons are super tough, but
That's true. Yeah, they are.
Still.
They're very tough. I think you convinced me though. Because like you're gonna need an arm. You're gonna need a hammer, and so then Bastillodons, they don't move real fast, but they move fast enough where you can hopefully get the charge off and send them in together, and they're hard to kill anyway. So it does this ability at the start of the combat phase, and then it's a rampage ability, so you do that first, and then your hammer fights, and away you go. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And then we've got the Saurus Old Blood, 310 points, which is important to note. I think it was 310 points. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat.
it's 320.
320, yeah. So either way, it's not a cheap, hammer because it is on 14 wounds on a 4-up save. So it will go down pretty easy compared to a lot of stuff at that price range. But it does have it's got quite the damage profile. So Sunstone Spear and Sunbolt Gauntlet charge +1 damage. So then you're 6 attacks on the charge, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 3 freaking damage. But wait, that's not even the best part. Carnosaur's Massive Jaws, 3 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, 4 flat damage. And then the limbs are 5 attacks, 4s and 2s, -1 rend, 3 flat damage. And then you add 1 to the damage characteristic of this unit's companion weapon. So we're talking flat 5 damage and flat 4 damage, while it's within 6 inches of any damaged enemy units. Or within 6 inches of anything that's had like units slain. But wait, there's still more. Alpha Predator friendly Agrodon units do not lose rage tokens at the end of the turn while they are wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Also, once per turn, any combat phase, pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. On a 3-up, the target cannot use commands. So they cannot all attack, they cannot all at defense. That is straight money. That's crazy good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really good value. Also, I just checked; it's 340 points.
340 points, so even more. Yeah,
pretty pricey.
It is very pricey. So, like, you're probably running this in Thunderquake maybe to get more value out of it.
Yeah, +2 wounds. Yeah.
Maybe you're throwing on the ethereal to make it harder to kill. I feel like you're getting more value out of ethereal now, especially with the all-out attack rules.
Yep.
And like I could really see just kind of I could see armor cruncher on this guy as well, but also just the +1 to hit. So you're going to 3s and 2s. But if you put ethereal on it, then you can also all out attack it, and then it's hitting on 2s with the gauntlet and 3s with everything else. And it's not. It might lose its save. We're still waiting to kind of see, I think, whether it's -1 from your save characteristic for all out attack, or whether it's just, who knows. It's awesome though. I think we can all agree it's freaking rad. So.
Yeah, it is really cool. I think this is like the quintessential, like punchy dinosaur that, like
we should have always had.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think the way that Seraphon plays right now is a little different than someone who's like trying to get into Age of Sigmar, being like Aztec lizard dinosaurs. That sounds amazing. Like they just want to like Jurassic Park someone to death, right? You don't want to. You don't want to like sit in the bubble and just like until someone gets too close and doesn't quite kill you, and then you punch them. But like,
it's so true. Yeah. And it's like corn, right? It's like, this is obviously the Timmy army where I run around and punch things and don't care when my units die. No, this is actually the techie Johnny army where you're, it's all about the millimeters of movement that you're getting in outside of, whatever movement phase, out of turn movement. Yeah. I don't know. It's fun AF. Like this is so rad. It makes me want to play Seraphon, and that's like the best compliment I could possibly give. I'm excited.
Super cool. I wish it was a little cheaper, but still super cool.
I agree, but that is something we could see adjusted, at the 6-month mark, or maybe even sooner, possibly, if it's a little too many points. Because like, unless they drastically change the Slan and or Croak, you're probably seeing at least Croak most of the time still. So, you know what I mean? It might be one of those things that they need to adjust slightly. It's mainly just because it's so easy to kill. 4 up, with no ward on 14 wounds is laughable. So if I'm taking this, I think I'm taking Ethereal on it.
Yeah, Ethereal makes it surprisingly tanky.
Right.
And if you're in the sub-faction with +2 health, like 16 wounds on an Ethereal is pretty good. That's almost an entire unit of Blade Geists, right? Like it's pretty dang good.
Exactly. And then like, in a go turn, you could possibly have the Starseer give it a ward as well, a 5-up ward. There's a few. Aztec Wizard, Frog, and Friends. Yeah. Exactly. Wait, a hero could do it on Huanchi. Wait, sorry. It's for getting your Huanchi out of dodge after you mess up and get too close. Yeah. I don't know. It's really cool. I'm super excited about this. This is like, these are my... I think Seraphon and Skaven have got like the 2 most interesting set of rules for me personally, out of the armies that I play, obviously. But yeah. And then should we go on to the next one?
Let's do it.
I got too excited there and I talked too much. So can you take over the Slaves to Darkness section?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So moving right along.
Yes. Too bad. Slaves to Darkness. I had it out of order a little bit. Slaves to Darkness. So we've got some battle formations, artifacts, and a new war scroll. The 2 new battle formations are the first one is Chaos Horde, which is once per turn army in your hero phase. You can pick a friendly Warriors of Chaos unit, then pick up to 2 visible friendly Dark Oath units that do not have a Pledge to Chaos keyword and are wholly within 12 of the Warriors of Chaos unit to be the targets. Until the start of your next turn, the targets have the Pledge to Chaos keyword that the Warriors of Chaos... Jesus. Sorry. Basically, you're copying a Warriors of Chaos pledge to 2 Dark Oath units in your hero phase until the start of your next turn.
Right.
Which is cool. Like, it's neat, I guess. I think if you're running Dark Oath, I don't think that this is better than Dark Oath Recursion, though. Like,
fair.
I'd rather just get units back than
that's
like silly
fair.
pledge shenanigans, right?
That's fair. It gives you a reason to mix, though. Like if I'm looking at Dark Oath, I'm going, No, not again. I'm not painting another god dang horde army. You know what I mean? Okay, this gives me a reason to take a lot of Dark Oath chaff with my cool badass warriors. I think this is more maybe not narrative, but like thematic, and whatever.
Yeah.
But
I think competitively speaking, you probably don't care what
yes,
the pledges
yep,
on your Dark Oath units. Like it's
probably. I mean, like if you're leaning into Nurgle though, isn't that pretty good? Makes them like harder to kill.
yeah, there's ways to give your Dark Oath 5 upwards anyway. I think
Okay.
with a chieftain or something, or a queen. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you've
I keep
got
thinking
the
it's -1 to wound. So.
yeah. Then you've got the Champions of Chaos, which is you add 2 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly non-monster slaves to darkness heroes. So that would apply to like Chaos Lords, Exalted Hero, Chaos Lord and Karkadrak, Chaos Lord and Demonic Mount, any of like the Foot Wizards, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of neat. Like if you take a Karkadrak, like what does he have right now?
Oh, that's not a monster. The
No, it's not.
Oh, wow.
Cavalry.
Ha! It's
This
like on
doesn't
a
apply-
120 oval too.
Yeah, this wouldn't apply to your what's it called? It wouldn't apply to your companion weapons. But like right now he's 5 attacks, 3s, rend 1, 2 damage, but with charge +1 damage and crit mortal. So he'd be on like 7 attacks, rend 1, 3 damage.
Jeez, yeah.
Crit mortal. Like all of a sudden that starts to get a little bit scary. He's doing like 3 mortals on average.
Right.
And then there's another, I think there's an artifact or heroic trait or something. And then Corn, like you can get it to like +3 or 4 attacks pretty easily.
Right.
And so he starts to be like a pretty formidable threat. The only thing is that you're leaning into like a battle formation and enhancements, like just to get to that point.
Yeah.
When you've got Chosen sitting right there. Like like
This is true.
most of the time you just want to bring them instead. So
That's
this
true.
is kind of neat.
It's more fun than like again, right?
Yeah, I think if you're leaning into like a bunch of chaos heroes, then it makes your heroes surprisingly punchy.
Right.
You know, like 7 attacks on a chaos lord is kind of cool. It's like 2 chaos chosen if one of them's a champion, essentially.
Right.
Which isn't bad. And then you've got 3 new artifacts of power. The first one is the Amulet of Chaos, which is you pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit to be the enemy target. Then you can pick a friendly Dark Oath infantry unit in combat with that enemy unit to be the friendly target. Then you roll a d3 on a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the enemy target equal to the roll. If there's a friendly target, return a number of slain models to it equal to the roll. So basically, you're like at the end of every turn, 2-up d3 siphoning
Right.
mortals
Right.
into your Dark Oath units, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like, if you can get your Dark Oath to be relatively tanky and they're just like slogging with someone, this is like a weird way to get the Clan Rat recursion rule, except it's on a 2-up d3 instead, and it does mortal wounds to whoever you do it to. So
it's kind of good, and it's not dependent upon whether or not the mortal wounds went through. Again, we're seeing another rule like that where it's just roll a 2-up on a d3, and then either you get you get like the you get mortal damage, and you get recursion, but it's like not tied to it. It's just I don't know. That's really good.
yeah,
And this is just an artifact. Like okay, like I can throw an artifact at that.
Yeah, what this is competing with is like the one that people take right now is it's basically like a once per game within 24 inches you pick a wizard, and for that phase every time they cast a spell they take d3 mortal wounds.
Okay.
Which is like neat. Like the artifact is definitely much more interchangeable than the heroic trait of
yeah, and like that's fine, but like you might not run into an army that even has that, and then it just feels bad. Whereas this, like if you have Dark Oath infantry, which is something that's in your own control,
then the other one, the Varanite Shackle, which is friendly non-warriors of chaos slaves to darkness units have a ward 6-up while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. I would probably take this if I'm running like a Dark Oath army.
Right.
Because then you just like always have a ward for if you're running a horde army, like that's just value, I think.
For sure.
It wouldn't apply to like Warriors of Chaos Knights, Baron Guard Chosen, anything like that. But like
I see. They don't have the Warriors of Chaos keyword.
Friendly non-warriors of chaos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
So it wouldn't apply to it. Does it basically just apply to Dark Oath, or what's the deal?
Dark Oath, all like the beasts of chaos, or sorry, not beasts of chaos, the chaos beasts.
Rub it in, why don't you?
Yeah, exactly. What else would it apply to? War Scrolls. Yeah, anything Dark Oath it would apply to. It would apply to, yeah, like Furies. Legionnaires, question mark? Yeah, it would apply to Legionnaires. Ogroid Theridons, it would apply to. That's
right.
cool. Yeah.
That's a decent amount of stuff, actually.
Yeah.
The would it apply to? It would apply to like the weird stuff too, right? Like the Mind Stealer's Pharynx or whatever, and the Ogroid Rock Thrower guy and Myrmidon and all those. Yeah. Hey, that's starting to get interesting, actually.
Yeah.
That's
So, like,
kind of cool, and it gives you another reason to mix things. I mean, like obviously not mix warriors, but it does give you a reason to mix, like the frankly the more interesting and newer models. You know, I get it depends on the person, but yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, if you're running like a whole bunch of Ogroid Theridons, a bubble of 6-up ward is pretty good because then you're effectively getting a Nurgle mark and you get to make them Khorne still for +1 attack. So
right. Jeez.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, really good. I might pick that depending on your composition, etc.
Yeah. I think they're just trying to entice you to bring something else, essentially.
Yeah.
That being said, thematically, like Dark Oath mixed with Theridon sounds like just cool.
Yeah, because they're like out there, like, you know, savages worshiping crazy stuff and doing, you know, pagan rituals and whatnot, and then they've got a bunch of beasts and crazy shit around them and just backing them up. It's so thematic. That actually might be the way I would build a Slaves to Darkness army now that I'm looking at it. Like, I've always liked the Theridons. I've always liked the weird monsters and crap that's in the army.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty neat. And then the last one is Head of the Unworthy, which is if a friendly Slaves to Darkness hero with any Dark Apotheosis points is destroyed, give this unit 8 Dark Apotheosis points. So context there, you get Dark Apotheosis by like fighting or being on objectives outside of your territory. 8 Apotheosis points is exactly what you need to become a Demon Prince. So it basically just means like the other hero dies, next hero phase, you get a Demon Prince.
Wow.
So that's pretty neat. If you have multiple heroes that can have Dark Apotheosis points and you suspect that one of them is like a goober unit that's going to die.
Yeah.
Not bad. Because like you throw him in, he'll fight first unless your opponent has fight first. Immediately get D3 Dark Apotheosis points. Die. And then you get a free Demon Prince.
Free Demon Prince, yeah, that's so sick. The only downside to this is that you have to bring like spare models, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, you already did. If you're planning on doing a Dark Apotheosis, you already did.
But like, okay, let's say you're not running Dark Oath infantry. Okay, well, you're not picking Amulet of Chaos, right? Let's say your army is built like everyone else's army for Slaves to Darkness, this whole edition. Then you're not probably bringing the Varanite Shekel either. So then you just bring Head of the Unworthy, and it's like maybe I get a free Demon Prince. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
You have your one hero that's like staying back.
Yeah.
That probably has like Radiance of Dark Glory. And then if you have a second hero, that's the one that's kind of like out doing stuff. And then as soon as he dies, you get a free Demon Prince. So.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's probably going to go on. You could even add like if you wanted to be like fun and thematic, you give. It's not worth a battle formation. Never mind. But I was going to say like you could have the Karkadrak dude out there, or like you could pay for a Demon Prince, have him running around doing cool shit, and then he dies, and then you make another one.
Yeah,
and you only have to bring the one model. You could just because it's contingent upon that other friggin' idiot dying. You know,
Demon Prince can't get Dark Apotheosis points, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough. I don't play the army, so yeah, that's
how dare you.
I'm an idiot. That's the only... I throw myself on the mercy of the court. Where is... I don't think he's here. Anyway, earlier Saul did say KO Khorne, and Seraphon all don't play how you would assume. I don't know that I agree with the KO, Saul, because KO are very like rules lawyery, contracty. So I feel like they almost kind of do play like in an annoying way that I would envision for them. But maybe that's also because I'm not, super big into it. Hannah said Ogroids, Therodons. Thank you guys. Sorry, there is a chat delay, and then sometimes I'm not paying attention, but I appreciate you guys. Yeah, the Carnosaur is so sick. It's a 3-up exactly when the save matters. Exactly. That's what Eric was saying too. We do have Abraxia. This is interesting. It seems really good, but like again, I don't know the army obviously. 10 inches of move, 14 health, 3-up save with a 5-up ward always. Did she have a 5-up ward before?
I think so.
Fair, because like that's not easy to kill. Like,
yeah, she already had it.
Okay, so that's really good. And then we've got Gorbulga, the Accursed, anti-hero +1 rend, charge +1 damage. So your 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, minus 3 rend against heroes, 2 normally, and 3 damage normally, 4 on the charge. That's a lot of spice. And nothing nice. And then Thanatorg's Vicious Claw, 6 attacks, 4s, 2s, minus 2 rend, 2 flat damage. Pretty dope. And then once per turn army, any charge phase. If this unit charged this phase, pick an enemy unit within 1 inches, inflict D3 mortal damage. So there's no roll here. It's just inflict D3 mortal damage. Then roll 2d6. This unit can move a distance up to the value of the roll. It can pass through models, blah, 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 blah. But it must end in combat. But this is like, what do you call it? Like this is like the Iron Jaws one, only like way, way better.
Yeah,
because you don't have to roll.
It's exactly the same as the Stonehorn.
Oh, the Stonehorn in AOS 3. Yeah, that's so true.
No, it's still the same. Like it's.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Even like passing through models in the target unit and ending in combat, like exact same rule basically. So she's a Stonehorn.
She's a Stonehorn. Only better save, better ward.
Only the save and ward that the Stonehorn used to have.
Yeah, exactly. And also throwing out a crap ton of damage. And then also your combat phase, pick a friendly non-unique Slaves to Darkness unit wholly within 12 inches that does not have a pledge to chaos keyword to be the target for the rest of the turn. Add 1 to the rend characteristic of melee weapons used by the target while they're contesting an objective you do not control. Also seems really strong. You can throw it on anything, like a unit of Chaos Warriors or something like that, where you're just like, they're going to have a little trouble removing something with only -1 rend. Let's give them a little attaboy, -2 rend, and suddenly things are looking very different. Also, end of any turn, if this unit is contesting an objective you do not control, heal D6. Really good on a unit with a 3-up, 5-up. End of any turn, pick an enemy unit that had any damage points allocated to it this turn by this unit's combat attacks, which is extremely likely given her profile. And then the target has a maximum control score of 1. That's crazy to me. Like that's actually like the craziest rule here, because you could just basically be like, okay, I'm taking this off of you if I do any damage to you. So like 40 clan rats, your control score is 1. Those goblins that are like using their thing to contest an objective with 40 models rather, there's only one guy on there, but they would normally have like a control score of 40 or 39 or whatever the crazy thing it is. Nope, it's 1. I don't know. There's some tech here, I think. I forget what her points were, but it seemed pretty good to me.
It's 360 points. The movement shenanigans tech, I think, is the most. I don't know if it's the most valuable piece, but it's a very valuable piece for sure, where you can just kind of like bounce essentially.
Yeah.
If it's charged, so if you counter charged in any charge phase, you can do that too, which is pretty nice. And then
wait, which one?
Oh,
that one. Yeah. Any charge phase. Sorry.
I really like the Champion of the Undivided rule. The only problem is I wish it wasn't only on non-pledged units, because like a lot of the time when you're kind of
Yeah.
like sending a unit out, you're like, okay, I want to mark them corn so they do more damage, and yada yada yada. And I think that plus one attack is more valuable than plus one rend most of the time. So it's in like a very specific situation where it's like, okay, you're charging 2 Slaves to Darkness units, one of which you've just pledged and one of which you haven't pledged yet, so it's early in the game probably, and you don't control that objective. Like, it's just layering on conditionals to the point where I don't know if this is going to be like that applicable.
I have a question, right?
Yeah.
What units can take a pledge to chaos?
All of them, like, or
Can Dark Oath?
yeah.
Okay. Well,
So this pledge, the way that a pledge works, as a reminder, you pick 1 pledge per hero phase.
right.
So basically, if you have too many units,
Well, then,
like,
you on a go turn, one of them gets a pledge to chaos, and then the other gets an additional pip of rend.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like it gives you incentive to like throw multiple things at your opponent at once.
Okay.
However, it's like charge with 2 things. Also have her wholly within 12.
Right.
Also, they have to be contesting an objective they do
For
not control.
sure. I hear
Also,
you.
like it's a lot of weird stuff. So it's like I
It's
wish
true.
like one of those things was gone.
It's true, but like honestly, like would you rather have you've got 2 choices, right? Either it doesn't need to be on a unit that doesn't have a pledge, or it's a 3-up. Like you can't have both of those things. You know what I mean? Like if you were to choose between having to roll a dice on a 3-up and being able to pick, but it can't go on a unit with a pledge, what would you choose?
Probably do the 3-up.
Really? Okay. Then I think that like gives credence to your point a lot more. But the nice thing about her though is that like there's no rolling here. It's just shit that you choose to do. The only qualifier here is that you have to have charged. Okay, obviously, right? Or you have to have done damage. Okay, that's super easy. There's just like, like if she's sitting on an objective, right? And then it's like you get charged, and then she's probably going to survive. She's going to hit back, and then that unit that charged you on the objective, it has a control score of 1. What? Look, that's crazy. That's brutal. I don't know. I'm a buyer, but I am a sucker for a kick-ass model, and this is one of the best models in Slaves to Darkness. Some may say the best model in Slaves to Darkness. I still think it's Be'lakor. But like he's kind of ubiquitous right now, so I can see being like incentivized and wanting to take something different. And Abraxia is at the top of my list. Yeah, she's rad. So yeah. I guess we should probably speed up a little bit.
We got 3 more, right?
4 more.
What's after?
We've
what
got
came out today?
Lumineth.
Oh,
We've got
Nurgle,
Lumineth.
right?
Yeah. Slanesh. We've got Ogres, and I'm assuming you're going to want to go into them. Maggotkin is the last one. So, yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's
let's
mostly
talk
my
Lumineth.
fault. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So Lumineth heroic traits. They have 3 new ones. The first one is remember how everyone has Field Marshal and it's going away. Just kidding, it's not going away for Lumineth. That's their heroic trait number 1. It's plus 2 inches to move for friendly Lumineth Realm Lords infantry units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Quite good. And then they have a once per battle reaction. You declare the spell ability for a Lumineth Realm Lords wizard within this unit's combat range, which could include itself. Add 3 to the casting roll for that spell. Once per game, plus 3 to cast is like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I would definitely rather take the Flawless Commander if you're running infantry, I think.
Add 3 is a lot, though.
Add 3 is a lot, but it's once per battle.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. But like, it's for like, okay, this needs to happen. So please don't perils, essentially, right?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Then you have Martial Perfectionist, which is pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit that is damaged or had any models slain this turn to be the target. Roll a dice on a 3+, add 1 to wound rolls for combat attacks by friendly Lumineth Realm Lords infantry units that target that enemy unit for the rest of the turn. So that's quite good too.
Yeah, like put on the hammer jerks.
This incentivizes you to like have a unit of sentinels like just take some damage off something, and then you charge in, and then on a 3 up your +1 to wound, which is pretty nice.
True.
I think at base I'd probably choose Flawless Commander.
Right.
probably, just because
It's
plus
just-
2 to move is really
just
solid.
so
And then
good.
with speed of Hish, you've got plus,
Yeah.
6 to move. Like, it's pretty spicy.
They straight up got the sub commander thing. Like, I almost
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
the-
every army should have gotten this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the exact same, except there's no qualifier for it to be non-fly. Not that that matters for Lumineth, but like,
That's true.
Still.
But it is even better. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. Whew. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Flawless commander all the way. It's like an easy choice. It's too easy.
yeah. Then the spell lore, they've got 3 new spells, 666. Then
Right
first
on.
of all, you've got Beam of Hish, which is, they're all unlimited spells, by the way. Every one of these spells is unlimited, which means they can be
That's
cast by any number of wizards,
crazy. Yes.
but only once each. So Beam of Hish is you pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's wizard to cast the spell, and then a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of them that hasn't been picked to be the target of this ability this battle round. Battle round is interesting. Then make a casting roll of 2d6, add 1 to the casting value of the spell for each time it has been cast by a friendly wizard this turn. So that's already a lot. Inflict
Yeah.
D3 plus X mortal damage on the target, where X is the number of times to a maximum of 3 that this spell has been previously cast by a friendly wizard this turn. So basically, it's like Death Star powering up. The more times they cast it,
Yeah. And
the better.
that is very fun.
It is, yeah.
It's a surprising
Also-
amount of fun for LRL.
It says that this spell has been previously cast.
Right.
It doesn't say successfully cast, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that...
That needs to be. It's not cast though. It's, or is it cast? Oh yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if it... I don't think it has to successfully be cast.
As
Rules
it
is written.
sits. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's a
Um,
mistake because I feel like that doesn't make sense.
Maybe. I don't know.
You could perils and you're still charging up the next guy. Like what?
Sure.
Yeah.
Then next up is Unseen Force, which is you pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's wizard to cast the spell, enemy unit within 18 inches. Until the start of your next turn, the target cannot use run abilities. In addition, if that enemy unit has already been picked to be the target of this ability this battle round, subtract 1 from hit rolls for the target's combat attacks. So that's really good. And another thing, because it's in the declare step where you pick the enemy as the
Yeah.
target,
Right.
even if you fail to get them,
Uh-huh.
then so like let's say you cast the spell Unseen Force on like unit A.
Yeah.
Your opponent unbinds it, it doesn't go off. Then another wizard of yours casts Unseen Force onto unit A, and it does go off. They'll be -1 to
You
hit
still get
because they've been
both.
picked as the target,
Oh.
regardless of it being successful or not.
That seems
So-
wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. Don't get, yeah, but that seems too good, like way too good.
I mean, shutting off run abilities already is incredible.
Already
Like,
is insane, especially on a 6.
yeah.
then
There's a lot of
-1
armies that really hate because like that prevents redeploy. First of all,
I just mean like the combo of like it doesn't even have to go off, and you're still getting that much value out of it.
yeah.
know?
I mean, it has to go off once, but it doesn't have to go off. the
No, I
first
know, but like,
Yeah.
you like the whole army is full of wizards. Like there's a million bajillion wizards in there, so you could cast it with like the one that you don't really care, don't really think it's gonna work, and then, yeah, I feel maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Like lately, I just feel like I don't really know what they're thinking when they make rules, you know. But yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of tricky, wordy things where I think if you're at a tournament, and your opponent didn't know, like this could be considered a gotcha,
exactly.
or like it could be considered
Yeah.
like kind of
Contentious.
pushing the.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Regardless of if it is actually correct or not, and that sucks both for the person that's it's happening to and the person that's doing it because it's
Almost
like,
more for the person that's doing it, unless they're
Yeah.
of a not so great character, and then whatever, screw them. But
yeah. And then the last one is Beacons of Protection. You pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's wizard to cast the spell. Until the start of your next turn, ignore the first damage point allocated to friendly non-monster Lumineth Realm Lord's units. Each phase, while they're wholly within 9 inches of a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's wizard, add 3 inches to the range for each additional time the spell has been cast by a friendly wizard this battle round. So that's pretty cool. Like we're seeing a lot of like single damage shrugging at the start of the phase,
yeah,
which is pretty nice. So Yeah. I wonder. It doesn't. You don't ignore the. No, it's ignore the first point allocate. No, I don't. It doesn't stack. I don't think it stacks because it's
Okay.
an unlimited spell, right? If
It is
multiple people
unlimited.
cast it, I don't think it stacks because it specifically says first. That's weird. I don't know. Someone smarter than me has to figure that out. Then we can move on to Light of Altharion in speed of, or in the light of speed.
Right on.
Yeah. So he's got 6 health on a 3-up and a 4-up ward, which is kind of interesting. Move 6 inches. He's got 3 attacks on a shooting weapon, 12 inches, 2s and 3s, Ren 2, D3 damage. He's got the Fang Sword of Altharion, which is crit 2 hits, 5 attacks, 2s and 3s, Ren 3, 3 damage, which spicy. And it's crit 2 hits. So theoretical damage maximum of 30. Just so you know, if you roll 5 6s, you won't, but you could.
That's true.
And then the Selenari Blade, which is anti-hero, +1 rend, anti-monster, +1 rend. 2 attacks, 2s and 3s, 1 rend and 3 damage. So that's like an extra little pokey bit. So he's going to be hitting pretty hard. And then the big thing is ignore negative modifiers to hit rolls and wound rolls for this unit's attacks and to the characteristics of this unit's melee weapons.
That's crazy.
So, not that Bodyguard will exist, but for instance, Bodyguard would have no effect on him whatsoever. He's just always going to be hitting on 2s and 3s.
I mean, there's so many units that depend on -1 to wound and -1 to hit and stuff like that. And he's just like, don't care. Sorry, I'll be right back. I need to check. Something's going on and I don't know what. So
sure.
I'll be right back. Cool.
So we've got the Eternal Light. Once per battle reaction, you declare a summon ability for a Lumineth Realm Lord's unit, and this unit has been destroyed. That summon ability has no effect. Instead, if that spell is cast, you can set up a replacement unit for this unit more than 9 inches from all enemy units and wholly within 12 inches of the unit that used the summon ability. So basically, like, he becomes the endless spell that would have been summoned instead, which is kind of neat. It's kind of like an Eternus recursion, I suppose, except it's more reliable because you have much better ways of getting the like manifestations out in this army. So pretty neat. How many points is he at? He's at he's at 250 points, which is pretty pricey, but he hits pretty hard. No, the issue is he doesn't really synergize with anything. He's just like a beat stick that comes back. So I don't know if I would necessarily take him. He's really annoying for sure. And if you have like 250 points left, I think that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know if he's super great. Altharion the Visage Slayer. Yeah, that's true. He just does not care whatsoever. It's like, I have to attack you? Sounds good. Saul says, I'm really happy with how Blades of Corn are looking with this very unique scheme. That's the Frost scheme, right? Yeah,
that's really Saul has the awesome blue scheme, if that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I was just kind of finishing up with Light of Altharion, like the TLDRs. He's a beat stick that recurs, which is it's neat, but for 250 points, I don't think it's quite worth it.
But doesn't he have? Oh no, it's not. Sorry, I think he used to have like an ethereal save, but a 3-up, a 4-up ward is with that much of a beat stick. Like I can see it. I'm not saying he's an auto take by any stretch, but
I just think the name of the game is like synergy, or it does so much damage that you can't ignore it. And I think he can do a lot of damage, but he can also do like 10, which is fine, but for a 250 point unit, you want more than that.
But like people are taking the Vermin Lord Deceiver, and he's like less reliable than this friggin' idiot.
Yeah, but the Vermin Lord is
12 wounds.
It can take enhancements.
True.
Like
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. It's a good point. And then there is the Banner Blade. This one's kind of interesting too. 5 wounds, 3-up save, crit mortal. No one cares. But passive ability, add 1 to save rolls for friendly Venari infantry units while they are contesting the same objective as this unit. So, like a banner of, like, basically they just have to tiptoe onto an objective, and this guy has to tiptoe onto an objective, and then he's giving them Mystic Shield without a roll, I mean.
Yep.
That seems really good, right?
Yeah, super solid. And he is 130 points.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
That's really good. Can he be taken as a sub commander currently, or whatever it's called, like the?
I think so.
Because that makes him even better. If he's not adding to your drops, that's.
Yeah.
By the way, it's not pick a Veneri infantry unit and add one to its save rolls.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super solid.
Yeah.
And you can make him a wizard too if you wanted to with Silver Wand. You
Sheesh.
probably would on another unit, but like,
Yeah, fair.
yeah, this seems quite solid. If you're just looking to do like a castle based army.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Whew. Really good. Should we move on down to Slaanesh Town? Okay.
Slaanesh. Is it Slaanesh and then ogres?
It is Slaanesh, then ogres, and then Neugel. You're not really a Slaanesh guy, right?
Not really. No.
I can fall on this sword. They're my least favorite army. I've got nothing against them. They're just
Okay.
They happen to be my least favorite aesthetic, but I'd be happy to read it out because you need to save your breath for Ogre Town. Battle formations, Prodigy of Excess. What a great name, by the way. Pick a friendly Hedonites of Slaanesh hero that has an artifact of power to be the target. Give the target a heroic trait from the figureheads of the Dark Prince or Hedonistic Obsessions table. So this is interesting. It's once per battle, though. So basically, it's like the whole thing is you get an extra one, I think. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. And then invaders, add one to the red characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Sybarite infantry units while they are wholly outside of friendly territory. This is kind of cool, I think, because it's like the inversion of the Seraphon trait. You know what I mean? It basically like counteracts it completely. Because when they're and you probably like that's sort of Slaanesh's game plan is to send things out. They're very fast. Yeah, I could see taking invaders, to be honest. I don't know how good their heroic traits are, but like extra rend. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems solid for sure.
Right.
Put it on some like Painbringers or Twin Souls or something like that. And like you said, it can be running charging, like auto run something out of your territory.
Yeah.
Smack something pretty hard. Like when you make it euphoric, it's crit 2 hits, so the extra rend is like really solid.
Yeah. And it's not like you're picking a unit again. It's anything. So I don't know. Yeah, it seems pretty good.
And we don't know what all of the battle plans are going to look like, but if we have anything that's like shifting objectives where it's like just a little corner and then you have to step out of it, where all of the objectives are sitting like that, like this is a really good one.
That's true.
On maps like that.
That's so true. And it just has to be wholly outside of friendly territory. So yeah, like you said. Okay. And then heroic traits, once per battle, your movement phase. You have to spend a CP, pick a friendly non-hero Sybarite unit, been destroyed, replacement unit, half the number of models, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I could definitely see taking this, but like we'll look at them all. Enemy hero phase. You can only use this ability if your opponent has any temptation dice. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit to be the target for the rest of the turn, while the opponent has not used any of their temptation dice. To replace a roll for the target this turn, the target can only use core abilities. That also seems good because it's just like it gives you a reason to use your battle trait and hand out temptation dice. I kind of like this one as well. Yeah. And then the last one is the need for perfection. The first time each turn that an unmodified roll, casting roll, unbinding roll, or banishment roll for a friendly non-euphoric unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit is 5 or less. That unit has the euphoric keyword for the rest of the turn, which would include the unit that this goes on. So you could put it on a keeper or something like kind of badass, right? And then they become euphoric. It's kind of like just getting something for free. I actually think all of them are really good. Am I wrong?
Yeah, they're all super solid. I like the
Yeah.
temptation dice one because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are just like, I'm just not going to use temptation dice.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And I think that the people that are really good with Slaanesh are using temptation dice because they're playing that 4D chess that they need to play in order to really ramp the army up. And I think it's
100%. I'm saying
yeah.
opponents of Slaanesh usually don't use the temptation dice.
Oh, I see.
So this
what you're
is kind
saying.
of giving them another
Yes.
reason to like get rid of them.
Yeah,
So
totally. Yeah, and so if the Slaanesh player is playing well, yeah, so true. Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, so you force them to use it, and then they're like, either I have to do something I don't want to do, or I have to do something else that I really don't want to do. It becomes more tempting, and it's very fun in that way. Yeah, that's so true. And then we've got Celesk, the Vengeful Allegiance. 8-inch move, 9 health, 4 up save, 4 control, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, 2 rend, 3 damage, and then 6 2s, 4s, 1 rend, 2 damage. Passive, when players are alternating picking units to use a fight ability, when it is your turn to pick a unit, instead of picking one unit, you can pick a friendly non-hero Hedonites of Slaanesh demon unit wholly within 18 inches of this unit, and a friendly non-hero Sybarite unit wholly within 18 inches of this unit. Resolve the second fight ability immediately after the first. Basically, you get consecutive fighting within Celeste's 18-inch bubble. That seems really strong, really strong, because she's probably chilling, to a certain extent anyway. You're not throwing her in there too quickly, even though she has a 5-up ward. And then you've got a spell, goes off on a 6. Pick up to 1 visible friendly non-hero Sybarite infantry unit and up to 1 visible friendly non-hero Hedonites of Slaanesh demon infantry unit to be the target. Then make a casting roll 2d6. If you picked a Sybarite unit, subtract 1 from ward rolls for damage points inflicted by their combat attack. If you picked a demon unit, it has a ward of 5 up until the start of your next turn. So like a 6-up spell to give a demon unit a 5-up ward is already crazy good, but it works on both mortal and demon, which is insane. And then on top of that, end of any turn, if any damage points were allocated to an enemy wizard or priest by this unit's combat attacks, and that enemy unit has been destroyed, add 1 to this unit's power level for the rest of the battle. This unit can be affected by this ability multiple times. So if you're going to through a bunch of Lumineth units with her, blendering stuff up, because she's not no slouch in combat. You could just be this crazy powerful wizard by the end of the game. You could have theoretically, up to 3 or 4 power level and just be blasting out spells. It starts off as Wizard 1, so yeah, that's pretty fun. And then I'm really glad that, by the way, I called it when I said they were going to, give stuff to Dark Oath, a lot of stuff to Dark Oath for Slaves to Darkness. And Slangor were the other thing that I was hoping that they were going to do something for. And so I'm glad that they changed it. I haven't actually read the War Scroll, but so it's 3 health, 5 up save, 4 attacks, plus 1 damage on the charge, 4s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 or 3 damage, depending on whether they charged. And then deployment phase, basically you can set them up in ambush, and then you can bring them out on a battlefield wholly within 9 inches of the battlefield edge, 9 inches from all enemy units. That's really strong. It's kind of reminds me of your Gorgers, you know what I mean? With a little more charge incentive, maybe. And then once per phase army reaction, opponent declared a command for a unit within 12 inches of this unit. Immediately after that immediately after that command or the ability it was a reaction to has been resolved, this unit can move 3 inches. It can move through the combat ranges of enemy units and can end that move in combat. So you pop them out. Someone's like, okay, I'm going to redeploy. And then they get a 1 and then you move 3 inches. And now you've got a, you know what I mean? You're like, ooh, now I'm a 7-inch charge. I don't know. I think this is kind of awesome. I don't remember how many points they were. but like it's really cool that they're giving you like I feel like I would take at least one unit.
Yeah. For a unit of 3, it's 150 points.
Okay.
So
Fifth
3
or
is a little rough because
9
it's like
wounds on a
9 wounds
5
on a
up?
5 up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
keep in mind, so they're
they are
charged +1
Sybarite.
damage. They're Sybarite, which means that sub-faction for them being +1 rend outside of your territory is good, and they pop in from a board edge. So if
Yeah.
they get into something, it's 4s
Right.
and 4 attacks, 4s and
Right.
3s, rend 2, 3 damage.
Sheesh.
So that's pretty spicy. Like
It
there'll be
is.
13 attacks on 4s and 3s, rend 2, 3 damage. Like they'll slap something pretty hard for a 150 point unit. Like
Right.
that'll be pretty good in that sub-faction.
And then also like you can also like you know they are Sybarites, so you can give the like Celeste interacts with them. There's a bunch of like different you know heroic or traits or whatever I can't remember spells and different things that are interacting with them as well. It seems pretty good to me. Like I again like I hear you because like that is a lot of points on 9 wounds on a 5 up. I actually didn't remember that they were a unit of 3. I thought they were a unit of 5 for some reason. So that is much worse. But yeah, I don't know. I can still see it though.
Yeah, the instinctive advance thing is it's kind of weird because what I'm imagining is like if you're in combat with an enemy unit,
Yeah,
you all out attack, and they're like, okay, I'm going to all out defense.
right.
You have already allocated your attacks, so the range of your models doesn't matter anymore. Could you move your models 3 inches backwards, potentially out of combat with the
That's
unit, and then still attack them? Like,
Right.
I wonder how that works because it says immediately after that command or the ability it was a reaction to has been resolved.
Yeah, I think that
Like, it's a really weird ability.
I don't think it would ever survive an FAQ though.
Yeah, but
Right?
what's weird is that because it says it can end that move in combat, which means it can move out of combat too, right?
Yes.
Which basically means like if you charge your opponent at 0.5 inches
Yeah.
and you pile in such that you never get closer than 0.5 inches, you resolve all of your attacks. If they all have defense, you just walk outside of 3, and then they can't punch you back.
That's crazy.
Is that how that works?
So you all out attack.
Well, you don't have to all out attack. I'm just saying, like, you
Oh yeah,
go
yeah,
in.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Your opponent basically, if they all out defense,
Right.
immediately after they all out defense, you've already allocated your attacks.
Right.
You walk away 3 inches out of combat, resolve your attacks because you've already allocated them,
Right.
and then attacks happen, damage happens, whatever, but you're no longer in combat.
Right.
So your opponent can't swing back at you because they didn't charge and you did.
Right. Like rules as written, you might be right.
So
This desperately needs an FAQ, and may God have mercy on our souls should they say that you can do that. Like,
yeah. So they're basically deciding, do I all out defense
right.
and prevent more damage, or do I not all out defense and keep
So I
you
get
in
to hit
combat?
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you like? I can't imagine that would survive an FAQ though, right?
I guess not, but that's a really weird
It is a weird
ability.
Yeah. You know, like I think it was on Warhammer Weekly a couple weeks ago. They were commenting like how awesome it is when they seem to be adding more designers notes. I really feel like some of these things, like instead of having this dumb little picture of this stupid little Slangor, add a designer's note onto here that just explains, you know. They didn't think of that though. I didn't think of it, to be honest, obviously. Like I was thinking of things that you could do in terms of like getting like extra pile-in and whatnot, you know?
Yeah.
But if they, oh, I see. Yeah. It wouldn't work in the opposite way where if they all out attack, then you immediately move.
Yeah, because they've already allocated.
They've already
their attack.
allocated it. Yeah. But
Or they've already
interesting.
picked targets and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. As it sits right now, I think you might be right. And so someone write them in, because that seems like a really bad experience. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, that's like NPE at its finest. Of like,
It
I
really
get to hit
is.
you, but you can't hit me back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the doppelganger cloak for those that remember it.
Yeah, and if they're gonna be at run 2 at that sub faction, like you definitely want to try to all out defense against this. So
Well, and
yeah,
like,
that's neat.
do you remember when Sylvaneth had the strike and fade, right? And do you remember that rules as written, the strike and fade happened before Death Frenzy, it happened before Stormcast, blow up, lightning stuff and whatever, and then they ruled it no, Death Frenzy, all that stuff happens before you get to strike and fade, which is the right call, because otherwise it becomes this NPE of I get to hit you and you don't get to, do even the things that you're supposed to do on death. It was already kind of sketch as it was, right? So I feel like this won't survive an FAQ, but you never know with an FAQ. It's just zooming in and out as you're just adjusting. Whoa. No, it's your dumb camera and dumb hangouts. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. I think this is a great example of how to do a Ghyran update. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting rules changes that will like change how someone structures their army. I'm
Exactly.
all for that.
Yeah, me too. I think my single favorite thing here is the Master of Temptation. What's it called? Heroic trait. Okay.
Yep.
Should I just mute my microphone, or how do you want to do this?
Oh baby. Okay. So yeah, we got the Scourge of Ghyran for Ogre Mod tribes. So there are 2 new battle formations. They didn't give mount traits, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave big names, which was
did?
previously just on the Tyrant War Scroll.
Right.
And then we have 2 new War Scrolls as well. So the 2 new battle formations. The first one is Mawpath Menaces, but the ability name is actually wrong. It needs to be updated. It says Fixated on Feeding, but a good friend of mine, his name is Russell Crowe, actually told me that it's supposed to be Burger Lust. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Burger Lust is the correct name for this ability.
It definitely is on our channel.
Yep. Then pick a friendly ogre infantry unit that is not in combat to be the target, and this is enemy charge phase. Roll a dice. On a 3-up, the target can move a number of inches equal to the roll. It can move through the combat ranges of enemy units and can end that move in combat. If it does so, the target is charged. And it has core, move, and charge keywords, which means you can't like counter charge and then try to do this if you fail or something like that, or do this to try to fail and then counter charge and blah 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 blah. So you have to pick one or the other. So this is really, really interesting because this is basically like, so you don't have to end the move in combat. That's the big thing, right? Which means it's kind of like a 3-up free redeploy,
right,
in your opponent's turn.
Yeah,
because you can just be like just walk forward potentially up to 6 inches.
right.
Might be nothing, but you never know.
But like sometimes like it just makes a huge difference, and you don't have to end in combat. Okay, but it counts as a charge if I do.
Yeah, but it's quite powerful because it's like, let's say your opponent ends like, I don't know, not like 12 inches away.
Right.
Let's say they're like, you can counter charge me if you want to, haha, and then you redeploy and you get like a 4 or something like that. So now you're only 8 inches away.
Right.
Then you do this and you walk to like, if you roll you walk exactly like within 3 inches and you're like, hello, and you count as having charged. Wow. And you can pile and smack them, right?
That's crazy.
The only weird thing is it says if it does so, the target is charged. And there's kind of some discussion on like, what does that actually apply to? Does moving a number of inches equal to the roll count as, if it does so, the target has charged? Or is can end that move in combat apply to, if it does so, the target is charged? So basically it's like, if you do you have to end in combat to have considered to be charged?
You would think that would be their intention, but this is another thing for the FAQ. I feel like we should be compiling like a list of stuff that
Yeah.
needs to be addressed for the FAQ?
This needs to be addressed because so Madigan was asked about this as well,
Okay.
and I think this is the first time I've heard her say probably it works away. She wasn't sure. Like she's like
Yeah.
she said that it was uncertain, but probably you have to end in combat for the
Right.
target to have charged. So that's kind of how I've been interpreting it and playing it,
Okay.
which is still pretty good. But
I mean,
if it,
thematically, it makes a lot more sense. It'd be
Yeah.
kind of weird if it's like I moved 3 inches. You know what I mean? I'm
Yep.
I'm at 5 inches away, but I count as charged because I moved. It could be what it is, though. Like we've seen.
if it is that, this is
That's
incredible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's an auto take. It's like one of the most auto take battle formations since Deathstalkers.
Yeah, because this becomes something where it's like someone's like, oh, I'm just going to spend a turn clearing your screens or something. You're like,
Yeah.
okay. And then you
Yeah.
stand like 6 inches behind your screen so they can't like pile into you afterwards.
Right.
You roll this thing and you
Yeah.
end like just outside of 3 inches of the front of your screens.
Yeah.
And you wait for them to like clear your screens like good little opponents. And then you step forward and smack them after they've done that. Like
Exactly.
it's
Because you
like-
count as having charge, so you get to move another 3 inches. So you're probably
Exactly.
getting everything in the unit that you wanted to into
Yeah.
combat.
Yeah.
Insane.
So,
the membrane. That's crazy.
if it works that way, absolutely incredible. If it doesn't work that way, still pretty good.
Still pretty darn good.
Yeah.
What else do you take other than this? Like, actually, let's read the other one out just for.
Yeah, so the other one
posterity's
is called Greedy Eaters. It is once per turn at the end of any turn, pick up to D3 friendly ogre infantry units that were in combat with an enemy unit when it was destroyed this turn to be the targets. Return 1 slain model to each target unit.
Not bad. It's 4
This-
wounds.
This sounds really good.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of ways that your opponent can actually deny this because there's
Okay.
specific wording that says ogre
were
infantry
in
units
com-
that were in combat
Oh,
with an
yeah.
enemy unit when it was destroyed. And a unit is considered to be destroyed when the last model is removed.
Right.
So if you like run into a screen and kill it, your
Yeah.
opponent says, okay, I'm going to resolve this such that I'm going all the way down the line and this last model that's not in combat with any of your models in your unit is the last model to die. Therefore, I don't trigger your recursion, which kind of sucks.
Again, this
So-
seems like a crappy wording that's kind of you're kind of getting around intent.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nearly as strong. Like even if they rule this against you for fixated on feeding, I think that's still like competitively speaking a better formation. So I really feel like they should word this, or it should be ruled so that it works for you and not against you. But well, hello.
Yeah, I think it should be like if you were in combat with that unit and it died, then you
Yes.
Yeah.
Just make it simple, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then, So how does this compare? How does fixated on feeding compare with other formations that you already have access to?
So the existing formations that you're taking for foot ogres
Yeah.
are basically like +1 to cast,
Good.
really good.
Yeah.
And then the second one is terrible. It's just like while lead belters and iron blasters are in the combat range of friendly ogre units, they get shoot in combat. Or friendly ogre heroes, they get shoot in combat.
Yeah.
Which is like
No.
no. No thanks.
So honestly, fixated on feeding is
That's like the direct competitor with +1 to cast for your wizards.
Yeah, and like
I like the tech.
right.
+1 to cast is really good, but
It is.
your spells they go off on like a 6 and 7, so it's like it makes them much more reliable, which is kind of nice.
For sure.
however-
it feels like you're leaning into endless spells, and who knows what's going to happen with those points.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
I suspect Morbid of all things is going to cost something.
yeah.
So because
might
it seems
be
to be
like-
the one that
It might go up a lot. Like, we have no idea. So,
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
this I like having like a little bit of unexpected tech in a list because it's like +1 to cast, really easy for your opponent to like think around, or like it actually doesn't. They don't think about it at all. You just inform them that you are one more than what it shows on the dice, and that's it. Whereas this, there's a lot of like your opponent might not consider like, they charge into one unit and they don't tag the other one, and the other one comes in for free.
Right.
You're getting free movement in your turn, so they're like, your opponent says like, okay, I want to stay 24 inches away from you because I know your threat range is like maximum 14 inches, so that if
Yeah.
you run at me, you're only 10 inches. You're like, okay, I'm going to redeploy, and then I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
and then you could be 12 inches away instead, right? Or you could be, that's if you roll a 6 and a 6, which is unlikely, but on average you're like, you know, what, 17 inches away instead. So an auto run brings you,
you're +7 to it. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. So it becomes really interesting as like a repositioning tool, and it's also like you're just getting like free little movement shenanigan redeploys all the time,
like,
which is really neat.
It's often said, but not wrong, that like out of phase movement is one of the strongest mechanics in the game, and this is leaning into it in a major way. You know? Yeah. I mean, it's like on a 3-up, you're getting, you know, yeah, this is so good because it counts as a charge. Like, you know, I think this is better than Mighty Destroyers. You know?
I don't know if it's better than Mighty Destroyers because you can't like pin in hero phase or anything like that.
Not in the hero phase, but you can pin and do other things in the enemy charge phase for free.
Yeah. So yeah, this is really neat. I played 2 games with it, like experimentally. Obviously, there's a lot of context missing with battle tactics and battle plans and stuff, but seems really cool. I like it a lot, and as we'll see, there's other stuff that I like a lot too. So it's really neat. So then you have the big names. So basically, this is just another enhancement that you can give to a hero. The first one is you add 1 to hit rolls for this unit's combat attacks if it did not charge in the same turn. It's okay, but it's kind of like not what ogres want to be doing, I think.
Agreed.
Then you have Mage Swallower, which is subtract 1 from ward rolls from enemy units while they're within 6 inches of this unit.
6 inches.
That's real good.
They don't need to even be in combat with you.
Yeah, so I really like this. Like, if you take the glutton spam list that I was running, it had the Butcher with the Fang of Ghur, which is a ward shut off in combat once per game.
Oh, okay.
And I think that
that's once per game, but this is way better because
exactly
5 to a 6 or a 6 to a nothing. So
exactly, and it means that you can take the other artifact, which is +1 to hit against heroes and monsters.
Oh, right, because this is free.
Yeah, exactly. So now you can kind of like spec into multiple things. You don't have to be shut off ward or +1 to hit heroes and monsters. You can be worse than ward. And +1 to hit
per game,
heroes and monsters.
Or once per game, no ward. You know, you're like, I ran into Croak, no ward. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, that's really good.
Wow.
So a lot of people are that's kind of like the default choice, I think. And then Mega Gobbler is kind of neat, where in the deployment phase you pick a keyword. And then for the rest of the battle, each time any damage points are allocated to an enemy unit with that keyword by this unit's combat attacks, and that enemy unit was destroyed in the same turn, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of this unit's melee weapons. This effect is cumulative. So basically, like, you bonk something, it dies, and it's the keyword that you said it was supposed to be. You get +1 attacks. Right. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply to companion weapons.
Right,
so
for sure.
It's a little rough because, like, I feel like I'd rather just lessen your ward by 1 and kill 100%. You faster anyway, instead of like being stronger later. So
totally agree. I think like if you're putting it on something, maybe on the Frost Lord or something like that, because it's got the mobility and whatnot to kind of move around and pick certain targets out and get stronger and stronger as he goes. But Mage Swallower all the way, even if it is on a Frost Lord, I think I'm probably taking Mage Swallower. It's insane.
Yeah, Riley says in the chat as well, he brings up a good point about Mage Swallower, which is the Fang of Ghur is a combat phase ability to shut off your ward.
Sorry, whereas, the Fang of Ghur?
That's the existing artifact that shuts off the ward.
Oh, okay.
For ogres.
Yeah.
It's a combat phase ability, which means your impact mortals, they still have a ward against it.
Oh,
whereas with this,
you
charge in, you get your impact mortals. You're just within 6 inches anyway. Like, and if you had shooting, for instance, if you got within 6 inches, that subtracts from their ward as well. So it's it's a really, really solid.
So you could run something up within 6 inches, and then neat.
Yeah,
very cool.
This
is really good.
Yeah, so really good options for both, for sure. The battle formations and the big names. And then you've got 2 new War Scrolls, and I expected to see an Iron Blaster rework. I didn't expect to see a Scrap Launcher rework. That's kind of weird.
Doing this, it's like both units of Fanatics. Like, no, pick the Mangler, pick something else. Like, pick a giant spider. But yeah, I don't know why that like they came out specifically for gits, but yeah.
No,
here we
I
are.
get it. Makes
Yeah.
sense. So the Iron Blaster, the current one is basically 200 points, and
Okay.
it's got like two profiles. It's got like a shotgun blast and a long range shot. The difference is the long range shot is D3 plus 3 damage, whereas this one has a long range shot of just flat 5, which is basically like you're guaranteeing that your D3s are 2s
That's
every time.
way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like more
But
consistent.
this one doesn't have a shotgun blast volley. So
Right. You don't
what it
have the
does
option
have-
of switching.
yeah, it's also like a little bit better in combat, which is kind of neat, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Sure, it doesn't really matter.
Fair.
The interesting thing is you have this once per turn army-wide ability in your shooting phase, which for the rest of the phase, you add 1 to the attack's characteristic of this unit's ranged weapons, and the unit's ranged weapons have crit 2 hits. So that means you've got 3 shots. Let's say you all at attack. 3 shots on 3s and 2s, Ren 2, 5 damage at 18 inches. Like, this becomes like a pretty scary ranged attack, right? Like, you can randomly, and because it's crit 2 hits, you can randomly deal like 15, 20 damage to something.
Wow.
And it's 170 points for this variant. And the thing that's like good to keep in mind is that it's 18-inch range, but this thing moves 9 inches, right?
Yeah.
So 27-inch threat range for like something that will like really mess up and potentially kill like a big centerpiece model. Like if this shoots at techless, like he might die.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yeah. The Ren 2 is awesome.
yeah. It's the crit 2 hits as well, because like we know that crit 2 hits is mathematically similar to +1 to hit, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
You're on 3s and 2s, so realistically it's 3 attacks on 2s and 2s, Ren 2, 5 damage.
Right.
At 18-inch range.
Right.
Which is like really scary for some people to deal with.
Yeah. That's assuming you're spending it all on attack, right?
And I think you should most of the time.
Totally. Yeah.
Like we're not spending an all-out defense as ogres because your save is so terrible.
Right.
You're usually spending CP on like an auto run when you really need to get into combat, an all-out attack in combat,
right,
and then maybe a power through, or maybe a redeploy. So like maybe that if you use all of your fancy stuff, but you save 1 for all-out attack with your Iron Blaster, and it just like shreds things. And I think it's worth it to apply that like threat pressure.
Absolutely.
Because again, like you're not gonna roll 3 6s, but if you did,
sometimes
you might deal 30 damage to something.
You
right?
play enough
like,
games, you probably will at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is the type of thing where someone has to take it seriously. So you're actually realistically trading a CP.
Right.
Because your opponent's like, I really need to all-out defense against this.
Right.
I can't afford not to. And by doing so, you're shedding their CP as well, which means that maybe they won't be able to countercharge, maybe they won't be able to all-out defense in combat, or they'll have to choose between the two or something like that. So
right.
And the most important thing is that the way that Ogres plays is you really want to be like counter punching. And the best way to do so is like enticing your opponent to come to you. You're saying like, you have to come here to deal with this threat. And this is a really good threat to be able to apply that pressure. And
don't you think it like kind of incentivizes you to take one of them because it's once per turn? You're not, exactly. Right. So like, you're not really incentivized like in AOS 3, early AOS 3 to take like 4 of them. It's like, no, you probably want to take 1 and you're adding to the silhouette of your army and like, getting variety in there, Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
So yeah, it's a really solid war school. 170 points.
It's cheaper?
Yeah, it's cheaper.
I mean, I guess the other one might go down too.
Yeah.
But this one's hopefully will. Great. Well, but it's like the Screaming Bell though too. Like the new one's obviously way better, and it's like 40 points cheaper. So like for the Screaming Bell, but so like one would think that the other versions of these things will also go down, but yeah, who knows? And what about this scrap launcher thing you got here?
So the scrap launcher, it's got like the same wheel as the Iron Blaster. Same range to its weapons. It's 12 attacks on 4s and 2s, Ren 1 damage, but crit 2 hits. So it's okay. Then you have your combat attacks don't really matter. The once per turn, any shooting phase, You got the Scrap Away ability, which is you pick an enemy unit that had any damage points allocated to it this phase by this unit's shooting attack to be the target. Then you roll a dice. If the roll equals or exceeds the target's save characteristic, half the target's move characteristic until the start of your next turn. In addition, on a 5+, until the start of your next turn, subtract 1 from the number of dice rolled when making charge rolls for the target to a minimum of 1. And this unit is 190 points.
I like it, but I want to hear what you say. Like, I want to hear what you think.
I think, like, you look at that ability,
yeah,
and it looks really cool.
It is
right?
like rolling higher than their save.
Yeah. However, there's kind of like a direct contradiction of, to deal damage, chances are it needs to be not a great save in the first place, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's a 3-up save.
But you've got a lot of attacks, though.
12 attacks on 4s and 2s, crit 2 hits. So effectively, you can bring it to 2s and 2s, right?
Yep.
Like with the math thing that we mentioned before. So you are dealing on average to a 3-up save if they all out defense like 2 or 3 damage tops.
Right.
If you all out attack. Then you have to roll a 3-up for that to matter. If they're on a 3-up save to like half their move characteristic.
Yeah.
Then you have to roll a 5-up for it to matter for like the -1 charge dice thing.
Right.
I think it's just too many weird, like, so the thing is, like, this thing isn't what's applying damage at range. Like, it's not applying range pressure.
No.
It's applying negative pressure coming into you, where you actually want your opponent to come towards you as the ogre player.
Right.
You want to set up like a little like screen wall with like a whole bunch of hammers behind it and slowly push up the table as like you have to deal with this threat kind of thing. Yep. And this is actually disincentivizing your opponent from doing that. Right. And it's not applying damage while doing so.
It's not applying damage as much for sure. But like, let me like throw a for instance at you, right? So you don't take the Iron Blaster, you don't take the Scrap Launcher, you take one of each because you can use both of their abilities in one shooting phase. And then like pick an army like Night Haunt, right? You got a 50-50 shot at having the move characteristic. And then a 1 in 3 shot at also making them a 1d6 charge roll. Like, you're not applying a lot of damage, but it's only 200 points. And you've, 50-50 shot at like really messing with their movement and stuff like that. Like on a Deathstalker's unit, then like again, I'm just leaning into Night Haunt. You know what I mean? Like they're only moving 4 inches. So like if they're running and charging, that like makes a huge difference, going from 8 to 4, a unit of eels, 50-50 shot, take them from 14 inches to 7 inches. Like, I don't know, like I don't play this army, but like, I find it interesting.
It is interesting. Like I have yet to use it. That's like
fair.
One thing I'll say for sure. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of starting to encroach on the territory of like, would I rather just have 6 gluttons?
Right.
And the answer is like definitely yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Like, whereas the Iron Blaster is kind of like splitting the difference. Like it's 170 points and it's actually applying quite a bit of damage at range. And
it's like it's encouraging your opponent to, like what you said earlier, to come to you and
exactly.
Interesting.
It's really. Oh, and Riley. Oh yeah, wow. Okay, Riley brings up a good point, which is unless it changes, only a Tyrant or Frostlord can bring the Scrap Launcher as well, because it doesn't have the Gutbuster keyword.
Huge. That is crazy.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a good point. I should have started.
Wait. What about the Iron Blaster?
It has Gutbuster keyword, so it's fine.
Oh, right, because it's a bunch of stupid goblins on this thing.
Yeah,
or not even goblins. They wish they were goblins. They're Noblars. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. That's huge. That's actually huge. I mean, it might change though, to be fair. Although it probably won't, just because I feel like a Gutbuster, like a Tyrant or whatever. I feel like any Gutbuster hero should be able to bring should be able to boss around a bunch of stupid Noblars. Like that's stupid, and it might change in the GHB, but yeah, like if it doesn't change, that's great. I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Because it's like it's the same thing as like the Vermin Lords. It's like why can't a Vermin Lord boss around whoever the F he wants? He's not going to care if they're Eshin just like he is. You know, the same fraternity tattoos or whatever. Like, get out of here. Yeah. Wow. This is a cool update. This is a really cool update. I actually think that the ogres actually got another like super cool update here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's really cool without being like overpowered. So it's not people being like, oh my God, look at what ogres got. This is crazy. It's like, oh, cool. Like a little bit of tech. Like it expands their
flavorful
horizons a little bit.
I don't think it's too strong. Like, you know, I think maybe the Iron Blaster might be a little bit undercosted, possibly, but you're only taking one of them anyway. So what's the big freaking deal?
Exactly. Like you're taking what I like is that. So the lists that I've come up with after seeing this, I'm like, oh, I've got variants. Like instead of being 36 gluttons and 60 Noblars, it's like, well, I've got some gluttons and iron guts and it's Iron Blaster and some Noblars and these two different heroes. Like it feels more like a different army with different tools instead of here's a bunch of crap, spam, tons of wounds and tons of damage. Have fun. Like it's doing things other than just like standing on points and punching people.
Totally agreed. I think like, and the nice thing is like, what I'm kind of thinking right now too is like, I've been kind of writing and saying how good the Skaven update was, but like any unit any army like this that got a really cool mixed battle formation, like fixated on feeding, that's actually way better because like even if, I hope that they actually, no offense, but I hope they don't rule this so that you're not in combat no matter what on a 3-up, because that kind of goes into the NPE kind of side of things, I think a little bit. But like this is like the way that you update an army when you're not trying to like go too much into like power level. You know what I mean? Assuming that that's the case, right? Whereas it's like, if you like, and I really have been talking up the Skaven update, like, and I feel that way, like I genuinely do, but like I was talking about it with Pat the other day, and he was like, "Oh well, I'll just take like the multiple redeploy thing," and I'm going, but like I don't really want ratlings in that formation because they need the +1 to wound. You know what I mean? Like they don't need the 6-up additional pip of red. Like they could sure use it. But like, they need the +1 to wound, or they just don't really function. And Rat Ogre's same thing. Like if they're not getting something good, if not a ward save, I don't really want to take them. You know what I mean? Whereas this is just like, well, you always want Ogre infantry, unless you're running monster trucks, and then you're already happy. You're already in your bubble. You're having a good time anyway. No one needed like extra incentive to take monster trucks. Like this is not a thing. Whereas, like this is perfect. The big names is free. It's basically like you could argue that the big name thing is better than a monster trait because it's not limited. Like if you don't have any monsters, okay, but you could also put it on a monster hero. So it just doesn't work on like the stupid things that you don't want to take anyway, which is the monsters that are not heroes. So I'd actually argue that that's even better. And then we go down and they've got two very solid, Burgerlust. That's true. Matthew makes a great point. I would like to apologize. I will make a proper apology video later. It's called fixating. It's called just Burgerlust. Or fixated on burgers, as I like to call it colloquially. But yes, I misspoke. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I really like abilities like that because it's easy to explain to your opponent being like, I have this thing on a 3-up, I get to move. And so now they have a choice to make. Like I think the game is played on choices and mistakes, right? And this is one of those things where you've taken a simple army and you've given it a tool to allow your opponent to make mistakes or make choices that are like non-optimal essentially, as opposed to just straight math, which is usually a really easy and really solved problem.
Right.
With this, it's like you charge into my screen and I have something like right behind it. And you're like, cool, I'm going to clear this thing, clear the screen, and then walk into these guys with the other unit that I charged with. Whereas on a 3-up, I can just be like, bye, and just leave you. And I essentially baited you into putting 2 units into a screen, essentially,
That's
right?
true.
Like, I don't have to move towards you. I can move away, too.
So true. Yeah.
So it's a really interesting piece of tech that I like a lot.
I would like to mention, though, that, like, so when it comes to 3 Claw Steps Ahead, when it comes to Khorne, even less so, but even like Mighty Destroyers, out of phase movement, I think it behooves, unless you're playing in like a Carson style, like hyper competitive environment where like the people are expected to know every army backwards and forwards. If you're playing in that environment, it's not necessary. But I would highly encourage people, especially when they're playing someone who isn't used to the army, is new to the game, not in a hyper competitive environment, but certainly in a tournament environment, I would remind people about that. You know what I mean? Like when I was playing Skaven, when I was playing against people, they often choose to do take the center turn 1, and I'm like, I've got my boy adding 2 inches to that, and then I've got my other boy adding another 2 inches to that. So I'm moving 10 inches with my clan rats. I can 100% spoil your battle tactic here. Are you sure you want to do that? Usually the answer is no. I just kind of give them that reminder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually people are very grateful for it, and I just think that that's a good idea. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you should always if you beat someone because they just didn't know.
They didn't remember. Like, if you're giving them all your rules at the start of the thing, like, I'm not used to playing ogres this edition, and you're like, yeah, I've got all these abilities, and I've got this heroic trait, and I've got that, and I've got this on a 3-up, and blah, blah, blah. They're not internalizing that. I guarantee it. Just remind them, you know what I mean? Like, don't be a dick. But, and this isn't directed at ogres players. This is something that I've been talking about and doing myself since the start of the edition. Actually, more than since the start of the edition, but yeah. Especially, there's a lot more out of phase movement in this edition than I think we've ever seen before in Age of Sigmar, right? Like, we're getting more and more. Like, we got redeploy last edition, and now we've got new redeploy and everything else. But yeah, cool. Okay, and now we've got one more thing which we will burn through.
Oh yeah, there's one more. Oops.
There is one more. Yeah. I'm super happy for you, though. I think those rules are really, really fun. So we've got heroic traits, no factions. Once per battle, any combat phase, if this unit charged this turn, pick an enemy unit. The target just has the diseased keyword. This is pretty good because you don't need to roll, and then you can like spread the disease out from them. Like if you charge into like a unit, and then you can just kind of burst it out. And then also Unctuous Preacher, which is a fantastic name. If they're not a priest, they get the priest. If they're already a priest, add 1 to the chanting rolls. That seems like a very easy one to pick, just because you're also got like a new prayer lord that's all on a 3-up. And then you've got any charge phase, Corpulent Avalanche, again, amazing. If this unit charged this turn, it's any charge phase, pick a visible enemy unit within 1 inches, roll a number of dice equal to this unit's move characteristic. For each 3-up, inflict 1 mortal damage. If any damage points were allocated to the target by this ability, this unit can move 2d3 inches. It can move through combat ranges, but must end a move in combat with the units it was already in combat with at the start of the move. Also really good to me. I think this is pretty darn good. I feel like the easy choice, though, is the priest.
Yeah. I think another thing that's kind of an issue, too, is that, like, it has to be a hero to get this trait.
That's true.
It has to be non-unique to get this trait as well. The big monsters and stuff that are in Nurgle are all unique. Like,
that's true.
Orgots,
except for the Guo.
Except for the Guo, yeah. But like, so basically, it's like just a Guo or something like that. So like Corpulent Avalanche is like, I guess it's your move characteristic that it compares to. But it's like if you have like a foot hero, it's not maybe as
that's true
amazing. So, but because if you want to be
guy like the Lord of,
yeah, maybe. But I think Unctuous Preacher is like probably the take most of the
I
time.
think so,
especially
too.
with the new prayer lore.
Maybe
Really good.
even Living Plague, just because like if they're bunched up, you charge them in there, they're diseased, and then you can just spread it out to everything within range.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, and then we got a prayer lore. Infectious Surge goes off on a 3. Pick a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle priest. Blah, blah, blah. Maggotkin of Nurgle unit wholly within 12 inches of them to be the target. Add 2 inches to their move characteristic for the rest of the turn. In addition, if the chanting roll is a 6-up for the rest of the turn, the target can use charge abilities even if they used a retreat. That's amazing on a 3-up, I think. It's amazing on a 3-up and just add 2 inches to their move. And then plus the retreat on a 6-up. It's not a 7-up. It's not like silly Nurgle stuff. Everything's a 7. It's not an 8-up like everything else is in the game. It's just on a 6-up. Oops, sorry. My alarm's going off. I didn't put my phone near me. Would you mind reading Agonizing Vomiting?
I would mind. No, I'm not going to. So agonizing vomiting is goes off on a 3. You pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches. Roll 7 dice. If the chanting roll is a 6+, you add 2 to each roll. For each 5+, you inflict 1 mortal damage on the target. So basically, if the chanting rolls is 6+, it's basically a brass skull meteor with an 18-inch range,
right?
Which is kind of interesting, with -1 dice, but like effectively very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good because you can just like ice a foot hero, which is really good. Rolling 7 dice on 3-ups, it's not super unlikely you roll 5.
Yeah,
right. Like
100%. And again, only on a 3-up. Oh, and by the way, the last one was unlimited. So you can add 2-inch and moves to like everything. And then we've got Frothing Mucus on a 3-up. Pick a friendly Maggotkin of Nurgle priest, or pick up a Maggotkin of Nurgle unit wholly within 12 inches. Until the start of your turn, the charge +1 damage weapon ability has no effect on combat attacks that target the target. If the chanting rolls a 6-up, weapon abilities other than companion weapon abilities have no effect instead. Insane. So crit, anything. Yeah,
which is really good.
And it's weapon abilities, right? So
yeah,
it counts for shooting. So right.
Weapon ability has no effect on combat attacks that target the unit.
Oh, combat. Okay, I missed that. Yeah. Still insane. So like, you wouldn't get crit 2 hits. You wouldn't get crit mortal.
Yeah, I mean like
and it's only on a 6 you need.
That's crazy. Nurgle has always been like a grindy anvil army.
Yep.
And then the trade-off is that they're slow and they maybe don't do a lot of damage.
Right.
You've been given a prayer that makes you not so slow.
Mm-hmm.
You've been given a prayer that selectively applies really good damage. And you've been given a prayer that makes you even tankier.
And also as retreat and charge.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you've been given mobility, damage, and more tankiness via this prayer lore. So I think that makes Unctuous Preacher like a really good heroic trait to want to take instead.
Totally agreed. Yeah. This is incredible. And then, as if that weren't enough, we've got the new Rodigus. And I heard, like, Kenrick was saying that the old Rodigus is good, but, like, as Eric said, this turns him into a Herdstone. Anyway, we'll get to it. So 22 health, 4-up save, 5-up ward, 10 control. Not 5, by the way. 10 control. He's got a Gnarl Rod, 5 attacks, 3s and 2s, -1 rend, 3 damage. And then Fanged Maw, 2 attacks, 3s, 2s, 2 rend, 2 damage. And then 10 attacks, auto wounding on 5s and 5s, 1 damage. And then, so passive, Befouled Rainfall. Subtract 1 from save rolls for enemy units while they are wholly within 6 inches, or sorry, while they're within 6 inches of this unit. Already amazing. Like, that's already insane. It's 6 inches, by the way, not 3, not in combat. On a 7, cast a spell, add 3 inches to the range of this unit's Befouled Rainfall ability. Then inflict 1 mortal damage. Who even cares about the mortal damage? 9-inch range we've never seen on subtract 1 from save rolls, by the way. That's crazy. Also, add 1 to this unit's casting rolls. They are a 2 wizard. And then once per turn, any combat phase, pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. If the roll exceeds the save roll, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target. It's like whatever. It's like a rampage that's good against, units with a tough armor. This is crazy. It's so good. He's super hard to kill. How many points is he? That's what I don't.
430 points.
I would pay this in a heartbeat. He's so hard to kill. He's a giant 2 cast monster. Like this is so good. And it might as well say Gnarl Rod is Rend 2 and Fanged Maw is Rend 3 and the Nurglings are Rend 1.
Yeah. And there's nothing saying with like the frothing mucus prayer. There's no keyword limitation. Like you can apply it to Rodigus. And then he's a giant 22 wound, 4 up, 5 up, no charge, 1+1 damage, or no weapon abilities whatsoever.
Right. Good luck killing him now. Wow. That's such a great point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And then whatever survives is like, -1 save rolls. He'll punch you back like decently. Actually, pretty hard. Like,
yeah.
It's got some damage, 3 attacks.
Exactly.
He's just a big e-buff blob that doesn't die. So
a giant mobile, and you could give him plus all these things. You could just do all these buffs on him, and then he's just an insane giant totem of destruction and unkillability. I made up that word.
Good word.
Thank you. I don't know. Again, this is another great update. I feel like they've pretty consistently been getting stronger, if anything. That's true. Ladivica says the priest one needs an FAQ badly to tell us what happens when you are both a priest and a wizard, potentially with different power levels. Absolutely, that's true. There's been a debate on whether you get all your prayers plus all your casting. I think the general consensus is that you get like up to the value of one of them. So like if you're a 2 cast wizard and you're a 1 cast priest, you can have like one of each, or you can have 2 spells, but you can't have 2 spells and one prayer is what I'm hearing. I don't know if Madigan has talked about it or not.
I think she has. I think it's you mix and match based on your power level. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. That's just what makes sense to me.
I have a feeling they're going to FAQ it to say that you can do one or the other, though. Like, because it almost because like in cities, you have to pick, and ogres you have to pick. You don't get both.
Right.
Like,
FAC you have to pick.
Yeah. So it's weird that they didn't write that.
That's true. Some of it does feel like they kind of rushed some of this out, and it's understandable considering the breadth of free rules that we're getting. I totally understand, and that's not a criticism even. But that they will need to clean up. Like, honestly, like I think in half the armies or more, there's something that needs an FAQ or clarification. So I hope that they do that. I'm kind of hoping that like maybe they're even paying attention to some of the different creators out there that are mentioning some of these things, and they're kind of getting ready. Yeah, like
us.
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking more like some of the ones that they have a higher chance of actually watching. But yeah, maybe like us. Like we are, from the beginning, like I came up with like right from the beginning, not watching anyone's content because the Skaven rules came out the same day of. I was bringing up stuff that I think needed an FAQ for the Skaven rules. And we've been pretty consistently bringing up stuff that should probably be clarified and whatnot. But there's other, creators out there that they are probably more likely to pay attention to that are also bringing up these things. And that's good for everyone, So yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think the ogres have the coolest update. I think the Daughters of Cain have the strongest update in this pack. And I think... I don't know which one's my favorite. I mean, for the armies I play, obviously it's Seraphon. But for if we're including everything, there might be like a 3-way tie between ogres, Nurgle, and Seraphon. Like if it's just whatever. Oh man, these have been great updates, man. Like overall, it feels like everyone got something pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And only 2 more.
Only
Soulblight
2
and
more.
Sylvaden.
Yep. Both cool armies. Hopefully, they're both getting something really cool.
Yeah.
It seems like they both. I don't know about Sylvaneth, but it seems like Soulblight needs something good, but I don't know. I haven't seen what's happened since they've gotten a book.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my voice is now shot. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. We really enjoyed it. We were trying to get through a lot of content. I was reading the comments and stuff like that and trying to address everything, but if I missed it, then please feel free to throw it in the comment section afterward, or in the the YouTube comments. And apologies again. It is fixated on burgers or burger lust. I just want to make that super clear. That is the obvious thing to call it. Anything to add?
Nope. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. We enjoyed having you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.